Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. Regardless, Rowan's offensive capability had now broken into the Admiral level threshold. Before exhausting his Conqueror's coding, Rowan was Admiral level. Finally. Reached this stage. Stepped into the ranks of the truly strong on these seas. But no wonder it's called initial mastery. Rowan murmured, feeling the power of Conqueror's coding, a look of understanding on his face. After mastering infusion, more information about Conqueror's Haki was automatically unlocked for Rowan via the system. Conqueror's coding wasn't just for attacks. It could also be used to boost speed. It was an all-around enhancement. Full mastery. Elevating Conqueror's Haki to the Apex Gold tier would grant the user frightening speed. No wonder Shanks and Garp were incredibly fast. That too, was the power of Conqueror's coding. But such abilities would have to wait until his Conqueror's Haki advanced further. Blunder. Rowan commanded, looking down at Crocodile's unconscious form. A gleam of golden light was extracted from Crocodile's body, merging into Rowan. Physique energy from sand fruit automatically absorbed. Superhuman demonic physique, pale gold, enhanced. Tier advanced. Upgraded to superhuman demonic physique, deep gold. Born of the sea, apex gold, activated. Armament Haki enhanced. Tier advanced. Upgraded to armament Haki, deep gold. Conqueror's coding mastered. Automatically comprehended, armament Haki, Raya-O, deep gold. Another cascade of notifications. Faction Fortune had plundered Crocodile's warlord fortune. But Crocodile's personal strength type traits could still be plundered by Rowan. The sand fruit. Crocodile hadn't awakened it. Logia awakening was incredibly difficult. And Crocodile had pinned all his hopes on an external object, Pluton. Not only was his Haki unusable, but he lacked the focused desire required for awakening. Crocodile's strongest ability. Ground Sacco. Merely desiccated buildings into sand by absorbing water through his hand, it couldn't permanently alter climates. However, Crocodile's physical energy was even greater than Ace's, yielding 7 pale gold upgrade materials for Rowan. With his sand fruit, even without Haki, Crocodile's strength was infinitely close to 4 Emperor's commander level. Luffy defeating him in the original story truly was peak plot armor, heavily exploiting the fruit's critical weakness to water. But normal Conqueror's coding isn't my limit either. Rowan murmured, a red glint flashing in his eyes. I'll be back in a moment. Rowan called out to Nami and the others who were running towards him, then utilized his Kilo and Smoke fruit abilities to fly off towards the desert. Soon, Rowan reached a desolate stretch of desert. Great Flame Commandment. Rowan roared, the red in his eyes solidifying. Searing flames erupted from his entire body. Condense. Rowan extended both fists, focusing all the flare fruit's power. Under his control, all the released flame energy converged entirely into his fists. VMM. Rowan's fists now looked as if he were wearing gloves made of pure, blazing suns. Conqueror's coding. The crimson black light in Rowan's eyes flashed violently. VMM. Conqueror's Haki surged into his fists, enveloping the sun-like constructs. New ultimate technique trait, Flame Gloves, Apex Gold. The combined power of the flare fruit's intense heat and Conqueror's coding can continuously inflict terrifying damage on enemies. An ultimate technique trait. Even more powerful than normal Conqueror's coding. The inspiration came from Aokiji's strongest ability during his clash with Garp, Ice Glove. However, Ice Glove combined Aokiji's awakened ice fruit, Garp's inherited fizz techniques, and his own Haki. A trinity of power creating his ultimate force. It was this power that allowed Aokiji to fight head-on against Emperor-level fighters using Conqueror's coding. Though its offensive power was still arguably a tier below true Conqueror's coding, but Rowan possessed Conqueror's coding himself. Though only initially mastered, before this power was exhausted. Rowan's offensive capability should now be comparable to Aokiji's. And this still wasn't Rowan's current limit. Bomb fruit. Rowan's eyes flashed madly. The power of the bomb fruit was infused into the flame gloves. Upon use, these fists, condensed with the flare fruit's energy and Conqueror's coding, would utterly explode. Though a one-time devastating attack that would instantly consume the condensed flame energy and infused Haki This was undoubtedly Rowan's current, absolute strongest move. Flame-burst gloves, Apex Gold. Chapter 89, with his ultimate combat strength now secured, Rowan returned to the royal palace. By this time, through Vivi and King Cobra's heartfelt speeches, the citizens' trust in their king had been fully restored. Baroque works, with crocodiles fall, would quickly crumble. The so-called rebel army, its foundation of lies shattered, would pose no further threat. The war that was meant to cause immense casualties, thanks to Rowan's meticulous planning, had ended before it truly began. The remaining cleanup was left to King Cobra. News of Warlord Crocodile's treachery spread rapidly throughout Alabasta, and then, across the entire world. Vice Admiral Jayan also learned of Sky Sovereign Rowan's defeat of Crocodile. Learning of Crocodile's monstrous plot left Jayan deeply shocked. More troubling still, this warlord had been semi-publicly executed by Sky Sovereign Rowan. Though the execution footage circulated primarily within Alabasta, the implications were incredibly severe. Jayan hadn't anticipated that Rowan's target in Alabasta was actually Crocodile himself. And for a pirate to aid a world government-affiliated nation by dismantling the schemes of a warlord, nominally under the world government. This was a colossal scandal for both the world government and the Marines. Jayan immediately reported everything to Sengoku. The incident sent massive shockwaves through Marine headquarters. Involving a warlord's demise was beyond even Fleet Admiral Sengoku's authority to handle directly. He could only report the matter to the world government's highest power, the Five Elders. The balance between Marine headquarters, the 7 warlords, and the 4 emperors had been maintained for years. Now, a warlord implicated in overthrowing an affiliated kingdom's government, and subsequently eliminated by another pirate. This was like dropping a massive bomb onto the precariously balanced seas. A storm was brewing. But for Rowan, back in the Alabasta Royal Palace, he was currently preoccupied with enjoying a different kind of reward. Rowan, I love you. The moment he stepped through the palace gates, Vivi rushed forward, throwing herself into Rowan's arms. Her face was flushed crimson, but her beautiful eyes held no trace of hesitation, only bold, direct affection. Vivi had previously suppressed her feelings due to the weight of her country's burdens. But now, with everything resolved, Vivi refused to run from her heart any longer, bravely confessing her love. Rowan looked at Vivi. Her face flushed but her gaze incredibly resolute. And said nothing. Instead, he let his actions speak for him, gently kissing her warm lips. HNMN. Nearby, Nami's eyes flickered for a moment, then she smiled softly. She had long been prepared for this. So envious. That lucky bastard Rowan. Sanji wailed, tears of envy streaming down his face. What's the use of being envious? Are you half as handsome or reliable as Rowan, pervy cook? Zoro sneered from the side. What did you say? You damn moss-headed idiot. Sanji instantly flared up, and the two immediately started brawling. Nearby, King Cobra watched his daughter, a mixture of reluctance and a gentle smile on his face. His daughter's happiness, aside from Alabasta itself, was everything to him. And for her chosen partner to be Rowan, the hero who saved their country, Cobra felt only blessings. Nami. Vivi, blushing, gently pulled away from Rowan's embrace and looked towards Nami, who was smiling nearby. Though she sensed Nami's tacit approval, Vivi still felt a little hesitant. Didn't I tell you? Be brave. Besides, aren't we friends? Nami replied, smiling warmly at Vivi. Vivi's eyes instantly reddened with emotion. Though their time together wasn't long, Nami was her dearest friend. They shared similar experiences, shouldered similar burdens, and were both saved by the same man. Consequently, they had fallen in love with the same man. What made Vivi even more grateful was that Nami, instead of resenting her, accepted her. Vivi could clearly sense Rowan's deep affection for Nami, but she felt no negativity towards it. Being allowed to stay by Rowan's side, with Nami's blessing, she was already incredibly content. Looking at Nami and Rowan, Vivi felt her heart overflow with happiness. What further delighted Vivi was Igaram's timely return. Princess Vivi. Your Majesty. Igaram rushed into the throne room, travel-stained, his eyes instantly reddening upon seeing Vivi and King Cobra safe. Igaram. Vivi exclaimed, overjoyed. Though she knew from Robin that Igaram was alive, seeing him in person was still a wonderful surprise. What are you doing here? Miss All Sunday. Igaram, amidst his relief, spotted Robin and immediately tensed, becoming wary. Era? Why shouldn't I be here, Mr. 8? As of now, I belong to Mr. Sky Sovereign. Robin replied, looking at Rowan with keen interest. You will take responsibility, won't you, Mr. Sky Sovereign? Robin finished with a charming smile. Hey. Don't you try anything with Rowan. Nami instantly stepped in front of Rowan protectively. Vivi is one thing. She's my friend, and Rowan clearly has feelings for her. But Robin? Era. I happen to have some jewels I acquired from Crocodile's stash. Robin purred, producing a bag of precious gemstones. I love you the most, Sister Robin. Nami's eyes instantly transformed into Bailey symbols. Nami. Is that really okay? Vivi looked bewildered. Relax. The decision is ultimately Rowan's, isn't it? Besides, I don't think Robin has that kind of intention right now. As for future developments, we'll just stay by Rowan's side and see. Nami replied cheerfully, pocketing the gems. That was her true reasoning. After Vivi's explanation, Igaram finally understood Robin had saved him. Igaram, you remember our promise, right? Rowan asked with a smile. Of course. My wife's cooking is top-notch. Igaram grinned. Under Cobra's summons, Igaram's wife soon arrived. When everyone saw Terracotta, who looked like a female, made-up version of Igaram's earlier Vivi disguise, they stared dumbfounded. Talk about looking alike. Seeing her husband safe, Terracotta, head chef of the palace, immediately rolled up her sleeves, eager to prepare the finest feast for Rowan and the crew. The meal. We'll leave the preparations to you. But before that, Your Majesty, could you prepare a training room for us? Rowan asked, turning to King Cobra. Ha. Of course, no problem. And Rowan, please, don't call me Your Majesty. Cobra laughed, looking at his daughter's blushing face. Uncle Cobra. Rowan amended with a smile. Good. Follow me. Cobra led the way. You three. With me. Rowan said, bringing Vivi and Nami along, then looked towards Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. Us? Seeing Rowan's expression, Luffy and the others had a bad feeling. Nevertheless, they obediently followed. Let's go observe too. Usopp and Chopper tagged along. Robin smiled and followed Rowan as well. She wasn't impatient. Rowan had promised to let her see Alabasta's poneglyph before they left. Having learned from Rowan that the true history could only be found at Laugh Tale, Robin, though still eager to see this poneglyph, wasn't as desperately urgent as her original counterpart. She had a feeling. Following Rowan, she would definitely see the true history. She had decided to stay by his side. Rowan. Ready for training? I've developed a super awesome new move. Luffy declared, already pumped up. Gear 2nd, Apex Purple, Gear 3rd, Apex Purple. Seeing the new traits on Luffy, Rowan smiled. With Rowan's training, Luffy's combat power was progressing even faster than in the original story. He had already figured out Gear 2nd and 3rd. However, the power gap between himself and the Straw Hat's main three combatants, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji from the original story, had paradoxically widened even further. But now, Rowan had a new method. Save that move for a critical moment. Your physique can barely handle the strain right now. Use it sparingly until you can fully manage it. Rowan warned Luffy seriously. At Luffy's current physical level, using Gear 2nd and 3rd was extreme overload, risking irreversible damage. But I can't let you fight alone. What's a little physical strain? Luffy replied with a determined grin. Luffy wasn't surprised Rowan knew about his new abilities. He was used to Rowan's mysterious insights. But Luffy would never let his comrades fight alone, even if Rowan was much stronger, he would fight to protect them. Well then, Luffy. You'll be the first to experience the new training I've prepared for you. But this training will be very painful. Of course. It will also make you stronger, very quickly. Rowan replied, his expression turning equally serious. Bring it on. Luffy's eyes instantly lit up. To get stronger. Any amount of pain is a small price to pay. I'll be second. Zoro declared with a feral grin. Though I'm a cook. Rowan, I also want to contribute to your dream. You'll need other strong fighters too, won't you? Sanji, the most perceptive of the three, smiled knowingly at Rowan. We're all in. Between comrades, some things are just understood. Luffy declared. Zoro also grinned. Ha. Good. I'll train you all thoroughly. Rowan laughed, looking at the determined trio. For his future plans, the combat strength of Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji was indispensable. But before that, Vivi. Rowan turned to her. This is the power of the sand fruit. Rowan extended his right hand, and a ball of light materialized. Sand fruit. Vivi's eyes sparkled as she looked at the orb. Though only T2 among Logias, it was still a very powerful devil fruit. Crocodile himself proved that, with this ability, he became a warlord. This power is yours, Rowan stated with a smile. The sand fruit offered almost no benefit to Rowan himself now. Vivi's combat talent was actually quite average. But in the One Piece world, Combat talent could be compensated for by devil fruits. By eating the powerful sand fruit, Vivi's physique would naturally strengthen. Plus, Vivi, as princess of the Arabista kingdom, raised in the desert, intimately familiar with and loving everything about it. She was far more likely to awaken the sand fruit than Crocodile ever was. The sand fruit was undoubtedly the most suitable devil fruit for Vivi. Once awakened, with this fruit alone, Vivi could reach the 4 Emperor's Commander combat threshold. Then, Nami. Vivi instinctively glanced towards Nami. I'm not eating a devil fruit. I don't want to be unable to swim. I still have to draw a map of the entire world. Nami chuckled, seeing Vivi's hesitation. P.S. Rowan gave Nami the spike fruit and the dice fruit, but she planned to sell them. Alright. I want this devil fruit. Vivi declared after a moment's silence, her eyes firm with resolve. She had made her decision. Not just to accept the power of the sand fruit, but also to follow Rowan. Rowan had saved her, saved Alabasta. Rowan's dream required powerful allies. She too wanted to become Rowan's strength. The ball of light representing the sand fruit merged into Vivi's body. Whoosh! Vivi's body began to dissolve into sand. Her eyes sparkled as she felt the power course through her. Born in the desert, princess of the Arabista kingdom. The power of sand felt incredibly familiar and natural to her. However, Vivi's current physique was still too weak. Just familiarizing herself with the fruit's power for a short while completely drained her stamina. Rowan. I am hungry. Vivi blinked, her face flushed. She had never felt such intense hunger before. Feeling hungry is normal. As you continuously use the sand fruit's power and replenish your nutrients, your physique will steadily grow stronger. Rowan chuckled. This was why eating a devil fruit inevitably strengthened one's physique. Using the fruit, especially a powerful one, consumed immense stamina, draining the body. And from the moment Vivi gained the sand ability, she became a sand human. Her constitution was now entirely different. Consequently, her appetite and digestive capabilities would also massively increase. By continuously using the fruit's power and rapidly replenishing nutrients, her physique would naturally enhance. Eat this to replenish her energy for now, Rowan said, having Nami hand Vivi a pre-prepared pirate lunchbox. Vivi immediately began eating, her appetite far greater than ever before. Alright. Your turn, Luffy. Rowan stated, checking the feedback from the system, then looked towards Luffy, an intense crimson-black light flashing in his eyes. Hitting me with hockey again? I'm ready. Luffy declared with a confident grin. He was used to the pain of hockey strikes now, though it still hurt, he wouldn't scream like he did during Rowan's initial training. It is hockey, yes. But. Rowan's eyes flashed with startling crimson-black intensity. Boom. Crackle. 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 The crimson-black light in his eyes instantly solidified, erupting into arcs of hockey lightning, centered on Rowan, roaring violently through the atmosphere. Then, all this rampaging crimson-black energy converged entirely onto Rowan's right fist. Wham! The fist, radiating overwhelming power, slammed directly into Luffy's head. Crash! Luffy shot backwards like a cannonball, smashing through the training room wall, leaving a giant, human-shaped hole. Fortunately, Rowan's smoke tendrils caught Luffy, preventing him from flying further. But Luffy's eyes had rolled white, he was clearly knocked out cold by Rowan's single punch. Everyone stared, completely stunned. But the next moment... Humphrey! Rowan smirked. Fwoom! A terrifying aura exploded from Luffy's unconscious body. Using bond strength as a conduit to transmit spiritual power to link target, Monkey D. Luffy. Awakening, Conqueror's Haki. The strongest mentor, Rowan. Online. Chapter 90, Getting Stronger by Getting Beaten. Full crew power-up. The power emanating from Luffy. Everyone recognized it instantly. It was the same power Rowan had displayed when he first made his debut on the seas, the power that announced his arrival to the world. Conqueror's Haki. Nami and the others stared, completely dumbfounded. Luffy. Knocked out by a single punch from Rowan. And then, he awakened Conqueror's Haki? Thanks to Rowan, they knew a fair bit about this power. They knew Conqueror's Haki was possessed by only one in several million, and even then, awakening it was uncertain. But now, Luffy gets knocked out by Rowan, and just like that, awakens it. This is. Zoro, however, stared intently at the energy still crackling around Rowan's right fist. This power was overwhelmingly violent and tyrannical. Compared to the armament Haki Rowan had been training them with, this was on an entirely different level. Back in the East Blue, Rowan had shown him, through his Haki clash with Mihawk, that Conqueror's Haki could be used as a direct force. Rowan. This is Conqueror's Haki? Zoro stammered, looking at Rowan's right fist, which pulsed with horrifying power, his eyes wide with shock. That's right. Conqueror's Haki infusion. The true supreme power on these seas. Anyone who fully masters this power is a genuine ruler class figure. Those 4 emperors who reign like kings over the new world. They rely on this very power, Rowan declared, his voice filled with a confident energy. Although emperors and admirals were both considered apex gold tier in terms of trait level, the actual power gap between individuals within that tier could be immense. Among the current 3 marine admirals, aside from Akainu with his magma fruit, possessing the highest offensive power, Aokiji and Kizaru, despite their own formidable strength, would definitely be at a disadvantage in terms of raw offensive power if they faced an emperor wielding fully mastered infused Conqueror's Haki. 4 emperors? Hearing this term, Usopp and Chopper's eyes nearly popped out of their heads. Conqueror's Haki. Infusion. 4 emperors. Robin murmured, watching the residual power around Rowan, her beautiful eyes wide with shock. Even without possessing observation Haki herself yet, she could feel the utterly tyrannical and violent nature of that power. It was frightening. Just sensing it sent shivers down her spine. Rowan's words further stunned her. Mastering this power meant possessing strength comparable to the 4 emperors? Didn't that mean Rowan? Robin's eyes widened further in disbelief. Of course, I've only just achieved initial mastery. I'm still far from full mastery. Rowan admitted. Currently, I can only use it for infusing attacks. Abilities like using it for defense or enhancing speed. I haven't mastered those yet. And wielding this power consumes an enormous amount of stamina, I can only use it for a limited time. However, before my Conqueror's Haki is depleted, I can fight head-on even against a Marine Admiral. Rowan looked pointedly at Robin. Marine Admiral. Hearing that, Robin felt her world shake. The Ohara incident. Among the Vice Admirals who carried out the Buster Call was the man who was now Marine Admiral Aokiji. She had witnessed Aokiji's power firsthand. Her dear friend, Saul, also a Vice Admiral at the time, had been utterly powerless before him. And Aokiji, now an admiral, was hailed as one of the world government's strongest fighting forces. His power was unimaginable. Yet Rowan claimed he could fight Aokiji head-on? Even if Rowan meant he could fight an admiral only until his Haki ran out, it was still unbelievable to Robin. Rowan. How old was he again? And he possessed that horrifying ability to plunder everything. At this moment, a flicker of genuine hope ignited deep within Robin. Rowan will definitely surpass the admirals. This thought, for Robin, who had always viewed Aokiji as one of her deepest, darkest shadows, felt incredible. But looking at Rowan's supremely confident smile, feeling the raw, untamed power still radiating from his fist, Robin pressed her lips together. Tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. She knew. Rowan's words were meant for her. Rowan's mysterious ability to know things. Robin had witnessed it too many times. It wouldn't be surprising if Rowan knew about Admiral Aokiji's participation in that Buster Call. Though she didn't know how Rowan knew, her greatest psychological shadow was indeed an admiral. That didn't matter now. What mattered was that Rowan's words. Their meaning was clear. Even if your enemy is an admiral, you don't need to be afraid. A place to belong. Had she finally found it? Looking at Rowan's confident smile, Robin's eyes glistened with unshed tears. The sense of security she hadn't felt since the Ohara incident slowly began to warm her heart, like a ray of sunshine piercing through the darkness that had enveloped her for so long. Rowan's observation Haki, of course, detected Robin's emotional shift. Though the darkness in her heart had only just been pierced by a tiny ray of light, Rowan was confident he would soon tear it completely apart. Hearing about it would never be as impactful as witnessing it. After Skypiea, Aokiji would be there, waiting for Robin. Rowan's eyes flashed with a fierce crimson-black light. The power of infused Conqueror's Haki. I really want to test it out properly. Of course, first he needed to get the Rumble fruit. After obtaining that, his envisioned ultimate Devil Fruit ability combination could be realized. At that point, even against Aokiji at full power, Rowan was confident he could escape unscathed. By the way, Rowan. Even though it's the power of Conqueror's Haki, why did Luffy awaken it after you hit him? Zoro asked urgently, looking at Rowan. He wanted to awaken that power too. This violent energy. If infused into his swords, the power would be unimaginable. No wonder Rowan said that without this power, he could never truly defeat Mihawk. Mihawk possessed this power. Zoro stared intensely at Rowan. He never doubted his own ability to awaken Conqueror's Haki. Rowan said he could possess it, so he definitely would. My first ability. You all know I can plunder the total power of others. Rowan began. The crew nodded. When they first learned the truth of Rowan's power, they had been horrified for a long time. It truly was the most vicious, most dangerous ability in the world. But I have another ability. I can equip the abilities, skills of my comrades. You can think of it as a form of replication. Rowan continued. Everyone blinked, then, except for Nami, their eyes widened in shock. The bonds between comrades allow me to replicate your abilities, skills. Bonds are essentially spiritual power, and hockey is the manifestation of that power. Through these spiritual bonds, I can establish a connection to the powers you possess and then replicate them. I didn't tell you before because this replication ability couldn't immediately translate into usable power for you. The equipping process took time. Rowan explained, looking at his comrades. So, that's how it is. Everyone finally understood. This was the truth behind all of Rowan's powers. Seeing Rowan's complete openness, they all felt deeply moved. Such a massive secret. Rowan had never hidden anything from them. Well, I knew about it for a while, Nami declared, tilting her chin up proudly. Rowan can use navigation skills and sense the weather with his body, right? That's him replicating my powers. Nami smiled. Rowan never kept secrets from her. He told her the day after he replicated her abilities. Wait. Rowan. You said you didn't tell us before because it couldn't immediately translate into power for us. Does that mean now? Zoro and Sanji suddenly stared wide-eyed at Luffy, still lying on the ground. Exactly. After mastering Infused Conqueror's Haki. When I strike you with it, I can directly transmit spiritual power into your bodies through the spiritual bonds we've already established. In other words, to awaken your Haki, you just need to be hit by my Infused Conqueror's Haki. After that, strengthening your Haki. For armament, you just need to improve your physique. For observation, you just need to sharpen your 5 senses. That part is up to you. Rowan finished, smiling at Zoro and Sanji. The reason this wasn't possible before, but now was possible with Infused Conqueror's Haki, was because Infused Haki, unlike armament Haki, which was a manifestation of spiritual power and physique, was a manifestation of pure spiritual power. Furthermore, armament Haki, before mastering Ryo, flowing Haki, only inflicted surface-level damage. But Infused Conqueror's Haki directly permeated deep into the target's body. One could even say it reached the soul. Through Infused Haki, leveraging the spiritual bonds with his comrades, Rowan could directly transmit spiritual power. And spiritual power directly determined Haki's strength. This training method was, quite literally, get beaten, get stronger. A full crew cheat code. Unfortunately, Sanji, you don't have the aptitude for Conqueror's Haki. Rowan added, looking at Sanji. Damn it. Sanji looked crestfallen. Hey. Curly brows. Don't worry too much about it. Sanji stared wide-eyed at Zoro, surprised by the uncharacteristic comment. Didn't you hear Rowan? Armament Haki alone can make you admiral level. You can definitely do it. Zoro said, surprisingly, without any mockery, offering an encouraging smile. You bastard. Sanji mumbled, genuinely touched. But don't worry. Rowan interjected. Before, I couldn't directly establish a spiritual link strong enough to transfer spiritual power. But now that a link is established, don't forget, I possess the ability to plunder others' powers. Rowan's words made the momentarily friendly Zoro and Sanji instantly freeze. Rowan. You mean? Zoro's eye twitched. Sanji's eye twitched too. They already guessed Rowan's meaning. That brief moment of camaraderie between them now felt incredibly awkward. Zoro and Sanji looked at each other, then quickly looked away, feeling slightly nauseous. Exactly. I can plunder someone else's Conqueror's Haki aptitude and directly transfer it to you through our spiritual link, giving you the aptitude as well. As long as it's spiritual power, it can be transferred through this link. Rowan confirmed with a grin. TCH. So you still don't have Conqueror's aptitude right now, huh? Rowan awakened first, Luffy second, I'm third. Curly brows. You'll be fourth, or even later. Got it? Fourth place, at best. Zoro immediately started taunting. You damn idiot mosshead. Sanji instantly flared up, enraged. His earlier touched feelings completely wasted on this jerk. As for Nami, Usopp, Chopper. You guys. Rowan looked towards the 3, who were watching with hopeful anticipation, then sighed. You're too timid. Even if I gave you the aptitude, you probably couldn't awaken it. Rowan's words were a blow. Nami took it relatively well, but Usopp and Chopper looked like they'd been struck by lightning. This was what Rowan meant about the One Piece power system. Physical flaws were acceptable, but spiritual weakness was fatal. Without the necessary willpower, even with the aptitude for Conqueror's Haki, one couldn't awaken it. Like Buggy, whose potential was crippled by the backlash of his discarded Born of the Sea trait. Giving them spiritual power wouldn't help if their inherent timidity prevented them from digesting it. This also likely explained why Usopp, despite awakening impressive observation hockey, struggled so much with armament hockey. There was nothing Rowan could do about that. Robin and Vivi can try later. But I need to find a way to enhance your hockey without beating you up first. Until then, relying on your devil fruit abilities for combat is sufficient. Rowan added, looking towards Robin and Vivi. Beating up Nami, Robin, and Vivi? Rowan wasn't too keen on that. Besides, the three weren't primarily combatants. Rowan's main training focus was on Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. And for Vivi, Robin, and Nami's fighting styles, hockey wasn't the absolute deciding factor. Vivi needed to master her sand fruit. Robin's flower fruit awakening was also incredibly powerful. As for Nami, her timid nature meant she likely wouldn't awaken hockey even by the Wano arc, but with her Climatact and continuously upgraded Climate Sense trait, Nami could still become a formidable fighter. Alright, Rowan. I'm ready. Zoro, having finished bickering with Sanji, spread his arms wide, ready to take the hit, his eyes filled with intense anticipation. Wham! Rowan certainly didn't disappoint. A single punch infused with Conqueror's coating sent Zoro flying, knocking him out instantly, just like Luffy. Fwoom! A powerful aura exploded from Zoro's unconscious body. Conqueror's Haki. Sensing Zoro's Conqueror's Haki, Sanji looked slightly envious. But he quickly suppressed the feeling. Anyway, with Rowan around, he too would possess such power eventually. Your turn, Sanji. Though you can't awaken Conqueror's Haki right now, observation and armament Haki should be possible. If you can't awaken them, I'll just have to knock you out a few more times. Rowan said, smiling at Sanji. Bring it on. Sanji declared boldly. Wham! Sanji was unceremoniously dumped next to Luffy and Zoro, the three of them. All neatly knocked unconscious by Rowan. Doctor. Chopper wailed, then remembered he was the doctor, and immediately rushed over to treat Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. A long time later, the three slowly regained consciousness. After Zoro roughly explained the nature of the training, Luffy instantly understood. Realizing he had awakened Conqueror's Haki, Luffy was ecstatic. Then, VMM. Jet black energy coated Luffy's fist, Zoro's sword, and Sanji's leg. Armament Haki. Awakened. Rowan smiled. Chapter 91, Under Rowan's tutelage. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, the Straw Hat Crew's main three combatants from the original story, all awakened both observation Haki and armament Haki. Luffy and Zoro even awakened Conqueror's Haki. Empowered by their new abilities, the three trained with unprecedented fervor. Rowan, meanwhile, enjoyed a leisurely life, accompanied daily by Nami and Vivi, feasting on Alabastan cuisine, and occasionally using his Conqueror's coating to transmit spiritual power to the training trio. This transmission of spiritual power also required digestion, so Rowan only needed to beat them with Conqueror's coating once a day. Unlike Rowan, who possessed the Born of the Sea, Apex Gold, trait, the trio couldn't directly enhance their Haki intensity this way. They still required diligent training. But with Rowan, their current strongest mentor, guiding them, their Haki strength improved at a remarkably rapid pace. However, in terms of raw power increase, Vivi's progress was the most astonishing. As Princess of Alabasta, Vivi's affinity with the sand fruit surpassed even Rowan's initial expectations. Her physique strengthened at an incredible rate, and her control over the sand fruit's abilities grew rapidly alongside it. At this rate, Rowan suspected Vivi might be the first among them to achieve Devil Fruit Awakening. Robin also got to see the Alabastan Poneglyph. As expected, it didn't contain the true history she sought, but thanks to Rowan's prior explanations, Robin was prepared and felt no disappointment. She simply continued to read history books quietly by Rowan's side, awaiting the day they set sail again. Because of Rowan's planning and maneuvering, the Alabasta incident concluded much earlier than in the original story, granting them more time for rest and preparation. Once Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji thoroughly familiarized themselves with armament and observation Haki, it would be time to set sail. Another reason for the extended stay was to give Vivi more time with her father, King Cobra, before her departure with Rowan. Cobra truly was a great father, always considering his daughter's well-being. When Vivi informed Cobra of her decision to leave with Rowan, Cobra raised no objections. The very next day, he announced to the entire nation that he was disowning Vivi, stripping her of her royal status. Nefertari Vivi was now officially a pirate, no longer a princess of Alabasta. Of course, this was merely a formality for the world government's benefit. Cobra didn't want to become a weakness the world government could exploit against Vivi. Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords under the world government, had just orchestrated such a heinous incident in Alabasta. With this public disownment, the world government had no pretext to trouble the Alabasta kingdom further. Vivi was also freed from many lingering obligations. Naturally, within Alabasta, all citizens knew the truth. Princess Vivi had joined the pirate crew that saved their nation from the warlord crocodile. The crew of the great pirate, Sky Sovereign Rowan. Princess Vivi would always be their Princess Vivi. While Rowan and his crewmates were resting and preparing for their next voyage. Buru buru buru. Click. Vice Admiral Giant speaking. Vice Admiral Giant. In recognition of you and your subordinates foiling Crocodile's plot to overthrow the Alabasta Kingdom and eliminating the villain Crocodile, you will be awarded a Medal of Honor at headquarters in 1 week. Master Chief Petty Officer Tashigi and Captain Hina will be promoted 1 rank. Hearing the voice from the transponder snail, Giant remained silent for a moment. Understood. She replied curtly, then hung up. Vice Admiral Giant. When did we foil Crocodile's plot and kill him? Wasn't that all? Rowan? Sky Sovereign Rowan? Tashigi burst into Giant's quarters, having just received the world government's commendation order. In her agitation, she almost blurted out Rowan's name directly but corrected herself at the last second. Tashigi, just accept it. The government needs to cover up this scandal. Hina sighed, gently restraining Tashigi, her own expression somewhat grim. The 7 warlords, alongside Marine headquarters, are a crucial force against the 4 emperors. Their image cannot be tarnished by Crocodile's actions. Justice must serve the greater good. Giant explained, looking at Tashigi. This young Marine who, despite being a woman, still possessed that fervent, pure sense of justice. Giant sighed, speaking more than she usually would. Tashigi crumpled the commendation order in her fist, biting her lip hard. The award felt scorching hot, deeply unsettling. Her mind flashed back to Logetown. To Rowan's words, whether I am justice or evil. Follow in my footsteps and see for yourself. Rowan's powerful laughter echoed clearly in her mind. And the Navy's supposed justice was becoming blurry. Rowan had crushed Crocodile's conspiracy, saved Alabasta. Yet the world government, for the sake of influence, condoned the warlord's evil deeds, even covering up this scandal. Don't overthink it. Let's return to headquarters. When you receive your medal in a week, don't show any unusual emotions. There will definitely be newspaper reporters conducting interviews. Hina advised, patting Tashigi's shoulder before sighing and leaving. Tashigi remained alone, crushing the commendation into a tight ball. World Economic News Agency headquarters. This is huge news. The world government must be scrambling to cover up a scandal like this right now. Morgans cackled, looking at the reports in his hand. Want to maintain that boring, tasteless balance on the seas? Dream on. Morgan's eyes gleamed with a strange light. As expected of Sky Sovereign Rowan. I wasn't wrong about you. This is news that will shake the entire world. Morgans exclaimed, pacing excitedly around his office. He then slammed his hand down on the freshly printed latest edition. Get this report. Distributed across the entire sea. At top speed. These stagnant waters are finally boiling. How can we let them calm down now? The era of upheaval is upon us. Morgans roared with laughter. Front page headline, SKY Sovereign Rowan. Defeats Warlord Crocodile, SKY Sovereign Rowan. Repels Marine Headquarters Vice Admiral. Admiral Candidate. Pink Rabbit, countless news coups, at maximum speed, flew out from every World Economic News Agency outpost, carrying this explosive report to every corner of the sea. Atop the Red Line. The Holy Land. Mary Ejos. Here resided the world's highest authority. Inside Bangia Castle, within a lavish, spacious chamber, 5 elderly men were gathered. Bang. Morgans. That bastard. How dare he publish such a report? An old man with a prominent birthmark on his forehead and a distinctive 2-pronged mustache slammed a newspaper onto the table, his face flushed with anger. Saint Topman Warkery, warrior god of justice. Calm yourself. This isn't the first time Morgans has disregarded everything for a scoop. But I didn't expect him to be this fast, publishing before we could even commend Giant. Another old man, with a long beard and long hair, stated gravely. Saint Marcus Mars, warrior god of environment. Is it because he was already tracking that brat? Allowing him to get first-hand information? Questioned an old man with a scar on his chest, short blonde hair, and a beard. Saint Shepherd Jupiter, warrior god of agriculture. Humphrey. Arrogant punk. An old man with a bald head, wearing glasses and cradling a famed sword, snorted angrily. Saint Ethanburn Venus Juro, warrior god of finance. Regardless, from now on, we can no longer ignore this brat. Sky Sovereign Rowan. An old man with curly hair, a bushy beard, and holding a cane, picked up Rowan's wanted poster. Saint Jaga Ursha Saturn, warrior god of science and defense. Able to use multiple devil fruit powers. Repel Giant. And kill Crocodile. Though a brat, His strength cannot be underestimated. The long-bearded Mars commented slowly. He's just a little kid who doesn't know his place. Our world government has stood for 800 years. We've seen far too many self-important, delusional fools. Warcurry sneered. Compared to this brat, the 7 warlords are more important. With Crocodile, that arrogant fool, killed. The 7 figures used to deter other pirates now have a vacancy. And he was killed by a rookie pirate, no less. This will damage the warlord's reputation for intimidating the seas. Even a small crack, if ignored, can become an irreparable breach. The balance of the seas must not be broken. The blonde Jupiter stated calmly. From their lofty position, a so-called Sky Sovereign Rowan was insignificant. So what if he could use multiple devil fruits? So what if he could repel an admiral candidate? Even marine admirals were merely pawns in their eyes. What they valued was the balance of the seas. That's not difficult to handle. Fortunately, that brat already has considerable notoriety. Since the news of Crocodile's defeat by him has spread and cannot be suppressed. Then we simply elevate that brat's bounty to a level unattainable by most pirates. This will dilute the negative impact of Crocodile's death. As for Giant being defeated by Rowan, strip Giant of her admiral candidate status as punishment. Saturn declared coldly. The 7 pirates chosen as warlords were all infamous figures. Their reputations were used to intimidate other pirates, creating an anchor point between Marine headquarters and the 4 emperors, serving the world government's goal of balancing the seas. Since Crocodile's death couldn't be hidden, they would simply inflate the reputation of the brat who killed him. Give the brat an absurdly high bounty. And Giant. Her original commendation would naturally be cancelled, replaced by punishment. Spin the news of Giant being repelled into a crushing defeat. Let Admiral candidate Giant become another stepping stone for his fame. Being defeated by a super pirate rookie capable of defeating an admiral candidate and possessing a terrifying bounty wouldn't significantly tarnish the other warlords' reputations for intimidating the seas. As for the Navy suffering scrutiny, the Navy was merely one of their violent enforcement arms, their face was irrelevant. Regarding Crocodile's attempt to overthrow Alabasta, pin that on the brat as well. Cobra's daughter, Nefertari Vivi, just so happened to join his crew, perfect for spinning a narrative. Define his pirate crew as an extremely evil group responsible for heinous incidents. The Alabasta incident was actually Princess Nefertari Vivi, in collusion with Sky Sovereign Rowan of the Straw Hat Pirates, attempting to usurp the Alabastan throne. Under the combined might of the Navy and Warlord Crocodile, though it cost the life of one warlord and the defeat of former Admiral candidate Giant, they held out until world government reinforcements arrived, forcing the usurpers to retreat and foiling their conspiracy, thus maintaining the stability of a world government-affiliated nation. Nefertari Cobra, by righteously disowning his kin, upheld the world government's authority. He shall be commended. Strip Nefertari Vivi of the Nefertari surname. Saturn continued. Since Crocodile's death couldn't be undone, the scandal of a warlord attempting to overthrow an affiliated nation had to be covered up. Now, they had the perfect pretext. Cobra announcing Vivi was no longer a princess but a pirate was the best excuse to fabricate a new narrative. Excellent. This minimizes the damage. As for commending the Navy for fighting Sky Sovereign Rowan, Giant's defeat is already public knowledge. So, heavily commend that Master Chief Petty Officer and the Captain. Portray them as heroes who protected King Cobra during his retreat, held out until world government reinforcements arrived, and then assisted the world government in repelling Sky Sovereign Rowan. That Master Chief Petty Officer. Promote her directly to Marine Headquarters Commander. That Captain. Promote her directly to Marine Headquarters Rear Admiral. Mars added. He was referring to Tashigi and Hina. Since Giant's defeat was known, they'd simply pick 2 others to be the heroes who protected Cobra. As for the credit for repelling Rowan and saving Alabasta, the Navy wouldn't get it, the world government would claim direct intervention. This not only covered the scandal but also reinforced the world government's authority. However, Monkey D. Luffy. D again. The Navy published such a name without our permission. Warcurry picked up Luffy's wanted poster, his voice cold. D was a taboo for the world government. Even the Pirate King, Gold D. Roger, had his name altered to Gold Roger by government decree. Monkey. That's Garp's surname, isn't it? If not for building him up as a hero, and considering the dragon incident. Humphrey. Nuzjiro snorted. Let the Navy handle it. Circulate this revised account of events to the entire world immediately. Spread the infamy of Sky Sovereign Rowan attempting to overthrow Alabasta. Brand him as supremely evil. Have the Navy apprehend him as soon as possible. Eliminate all negative impact. And immediately select a candidate to fill the warlord vacancy. Maintain the balance of the 3 great powers. Saturn concluded. Agreed. Agreed. Marine Headquarters. Bang. Bastards. Sengoku roared, veins bulging on his forehead as he read the orders from the 5 elders. It was Crocodile who tried to overthrow Alabasta, yet it was twisted into Sky Sovereign Rowan and Nefertari Vivi. And if that wasn't enough, the blame was then shifted onto the Navy, while the world government painted themselves as the heroes who repelled Rowan and protected an affiliated nation. At least Tashigi and Hina were commended. It's not the worst possible outcome. Vice Admiral Tsuru sighed. Sengoku could only grit his teeth and accept it. After all, the Navy was just one of the world government's public faces. However, what an astonishing bounty. The government actually raised it to that level. Tsuru commented, picking up the new wanted poster. Those old fools. They'll do anything for their so-called balance. As for capturing him, isn't Aokiji in the first half of the Grand Line? Let him handle it. Sengoku snorted coldly. Understood. Tsuru nodded. The wanted posters, accompanied by the world government's official report, spread across the seas. Combined with the World Economic News Agency's earlier explosive coverage, the entire world was now in an uproar. Chapter 92, Explosive Bounties. The Emperors. Season upheaval. New World. Somewhere on the seas, a colossal ship, resembling a great white whale, lay anchored. Its main sail bore Jolly Roger, a skull with a white, crescent-shaped mustache. The Whitebeard Pirates. One of the 4 emperors. Pops. Crocodile. That guy got himself killed. Marco, the 1st Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates, reported, holding a newspaper and wanted poster before a massive man. The man, over 6 meters tall, with a distinctive white crescent mustache, his body adorned with numerous 4 drips, yet radiating an incredibly terrifying aura, took a massive swig of alcohol from a giant gourd. Pops. Your health. You can't drink anymore. The medical team nearby instantly panicked. Gorura. I'm Whitebeard. My body's just fine. Boom, the man. The one hailed as the world's strongest man, one of the 4 emperors, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate. Crocodile. That sandblasting brat is dead, you say? Whitebeard's eyes shifted slightly as he looked at the news Marco held. That insolent young fool who challenged him. Dead in the first half of the Grand Line? Killed by that super rookie pirate, Sky Sovereign Rowan. This man also defeated Marine Headquarters Vice Admiral, Admiral Candidate Pink Rabbit. And even attempted to overthrow the Alabasta Kingdom in collusion with their princess. These new rookies are really something else. Marco commented, his own eyes reflecting shock. Pink Rabbit's strength was something even he had to treat with caution. Yet she lost to that super rookie? Sky Sovereign Rowan's meteoric rise was far more dramatic than Ace's initial debut. Sky Sovereign, eh? Gorura. What an arrogant brat. Whitebeard laughed heartily. The bounty the world government and Marines put on this super rookie. It's outrageous. Marco continued, showing Whitebeard Rowan's wanted poster. Wanted, dead or alive cause of extreme malice, mastermind of the Alabasta incident. User of multiple devil fruit powers, possesses the ability to hunt devil fruits. The epitome of viciousness and violence. Public enemy of devil fruit users. SKY Sovereign Rowan bounty, 1,135,000,000 Bailey. Looking at the poster, even Marco felt a profound shock. His own bounty was only 1,374,000,000 Bailey. But that was largely due to his position as the 1st Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates, reflecting the threat of the entire Whitebeard crew's influence. This man's bounty was based solely on his individual threat. Able to use multiple devil fruit powers, and hunt devil fruits too. Pops, what kind of power is that? Marco asked Whitebeard. As a devil fruit user himself, such a description naturally concerned him. That power sounds a bit familiar. Whitebeard's eyes narrowed slightly in thought. But, no need to worry too much. Even if he can use multiple fruits, more isn't always better, Whitebeard laughed dismissively. A warlord killed. The world government brands him extreme malice and issues such an insane bounty. Whether it's Marine Headquarters or ambitious pirates, everyone will be after this man. Whether he survives or gets caught. These seas are about to get very turbulent. Marco mused. Nothing to worry about. I am Whitebeard. Whitebeard declared with a booming laugh. On a remote island in the New World. They're really making waves, huh? Luffy. And Sky Sovereign Rowan. Shanks laughed heartily, holding 2 wanted posters. Wanted, dead or alive participant in the extreme malice Alabasta incident. Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy bounty, 300,000,000 Bailey. Boss. Look. It's my son's wanted poster. That little rascal is with Luffy. A man, nearly identical to Usopp except for the long nose, rushed over, grinning and holding another poster. It was Usopp. Wanted, dead or alive participant in the extreme malice Alabasta incident. Sniper Usopp bounty, 35 million Bailey. Ha ha ha. With Luffy, huh? This is a happy day. Shanks laughed. But Sky Sovereign Rowan's bounty. 1,135,000,000 Bailey. That's an astonishing figure. Lucky Roo, the red hair pirate's cook, commented, taking a bite out of a large leg of meat. Clearly, the Marines and the world government are making their move against Sky Sovereign Rowan. Shanks's smile faded, his expression turning serious. Shanks. That bounty, plus the fact he defeated Pink Rabbit. If the world government wants to capture him, they'll have to send an admiral. An opponent like that. Isn't it too early for Luffy and his crew to face? A man smoking a cigar, his eyes sharp with intelligence despite his rugged appearance, spoke up. Vice Captain of the Red Hair Pirates. Ben Beckman. Should we go help them out, boss? Lucky Roo asked Shanks. No. No need. Shanks replied after a moment of contemplation, slowly exhaling. An astonishing crimson light flashed in his eyes. Though I can't see that far into the future. My intuition tells me Luffy and his crew don't need our help just yet. Shanks finished with a smile. Oh? Can that man fight an admiral? Beckman's eyes narrowed. Shanks's observation haki was trained to its absolute limit, capable of seeing glimpses of the future. Of course, this foresight was limited to brief moments, not days or weeks. But as someone who had mastered this advanced form of haki, an extension of his sixth sense, Shanks's intuition was incredibly accurate. Who knows? But didn't Hawkeyes say? That man might possess even greater haki than me someday. Shanks laughed, looking at Rowan's wanted poster. Right now, Whitebeard's side is more important. Shanks stated, turning to Beckman. The messenger has been sent. We should have a reply soon. Beckman confirmed. First Ace and Teach. Now Sky Sovereign Rowan. Is the era of upheaval truly unstoppable? Shanks gazed out at the sea, an incredible power flaring in his eyes. If that's the case, then let Haiti rage. On an island somewhere in the Grand Line. Zahahaha. One of the warlords is dead. Excellent. A man with several missing teeth, a large belly, and an aura of pure malice, let out his signature booming laugh. It was the man Ace was hunting. User of the dark fruit. Blackbeard, Marshal D. Teach. A warlord dead means a vacant spot. That spot is mine. Blackbeard's eyes gleamed with terrifying ambition. Hey. Lafitte. Your job. Tell the government to save that warlord spot. For me. Blackbeard ordered his navigator. Understood, Captain. Where shall we rendezvous then? Lafitte replied with a sinister smile. Alabasta, of course. To become a warlord, I need a valuable head. And conveniently, this 1.1 billion Bailey head is currently a major thorn in the government's side. Take him down, and my name will thunder across the seas. That warlord position will definitely be mine. Zahahahaha. Blackbeard roared with laughter. Captain. This is the guy who defeated Crocodile and an admiral candidate. Won't it be too difficult? Jesus Burgess asked doubtfully. What's to fear? As long as he's a devil fruit user, he's no threat to me. However, this guy also being able to hunt devil fruits and use multiple abilities. That is interesting. Blackbeard mused, rubbing his chin. Such an ability should only belong to him. A user of the dark fruit with a naturally special body. Feeling the power of the dark fruit within him, Blackbeard quickly grinned again. As long as they were devil fruit users, he feared no one. Whatever secrets they held, he'd just find out. Set sail. Things are about to get busy. Zahahahaha. Blackbeard laughed. Somewhere on the Grand Line, the Going Merry sailed onward. After resting for a few days, Rowan and his crew had set sail again. Vivi and Robin were now officially part of the crew. Crew, however, had been left behind in Alabasta to lead the super spot-build duck troops, Rowan. This is bad. Nami, having just bought a newspaper, suddenly ran towards Rowan, screaming, her face pale. Be bounties. I got a bounty too. Nami cried, looking tearfully at Rowan. Bounty? Hearing the word, Luffy instantly leaped down from his special seat. Ha 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 ha. It went up. My bounty is 300 million Bailey. Luffy cackled, holding up his new wanted poster, hands on his hips. I got a bounty too? 100 million Bailey? Humphrey. Not bad. Zoro commented with a smirk, looking at his own poster. Wanted, dead or alive participant in the Extreme Malice Alabasta incident. Pirate Hunter Roronoa Zoro bounty, 100 million Bailey. Why do I have a bounty too? 35 million Bailey. The Marines will be after me. Usopp yelled, clutching his head in panic. I got a 30 million Bailey bounty too. Nami sniffled, looking towards Rowan. Wanted, Dead or alive cat burglar Nami bounty, 30 million Bailey. Hey! What about me? Did I get a bounty? Sanji yelled, rushing over upon hearing Zoro's 100 million. Yeah, here's yours. Blackleg Sanji. Bounty, 50 million Bailey. Usopp replied, handing over Sanji's poster. Usopp, initially glum about his own bounty, now wore a strange expression. How come it's so much lower than that mosshead's? Sanji roared furiously, snatching the poster. But the moment he saw it, he froze. WHWHO is this? Sanji yelled, staring at his wanted poster. Unlike the others, which featured photographs, Sanji's poster displayed an incredibly abstract, crude sketch. PFFT. Ha 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 ha. Looks exactly like you, curly brows. Zoro glanced at it and burst out laughing. Even Rowan struggled to suppress a chuckle. Looks like even with an earlier bounty, Sanji couldn't escape this fate. Are you blind? Mosshead. Hearing Zoro, the already furious Sanji completely lost it. Armament hockey coated his leg as he launched a barrage of kicks at Zoro. He does look just like you, Mr. 50 million. Zoro taunted, infusing Wado Akamenji with hockey as he parried Sanji's attacks, continuing to mock him with the bounty amount. Watching Sanji and Zoro fight, Rowan's eyes flickered thoughtfully. After awakening armament hockey, Sanji had also prematurely mastered Diable Jam. More importantly, as Sanji awakened hockey, his modified exoskeleton genes were also slowly awakening. This awakening wasn't instantaneous, but gradual. Currently, the strength and resilience modifications from Vent Smoke Judge were awakening. The full exoskeleton would only manifest once these genes fully awakened. No wonder Sanji's physical durability in the original story, despite lacking a specific physique trait like Luffy or Zoro, never fell significantly behind theirs. What about me? Did I get a bounty? Chopper bounced excitedly over to Rowan. Sorry, Chopper. Not yet, Rowan replied, gently petting Chopper's comfortable fur with a smile. Because Chopper hadn't made a public appearance during the Alabasta incident, only the East Blue Era members received new bounties this time. Of course. There was one more person. I got a bounty. 110 million Bailey? Vivi stared blankly at her wanted poster. Wanted, dead or alive key instigator of the Extreme Malice Alabasta incident. Princess of Malice Vivi bounty, 110 million Bailey. Wait a minute. What is this Extreme Malice Alabasta incident? Nami suddenly noticed the common wording. After reading the accompanying newspaper article, the entire crew stared in shock. How did they become the ones who tried to overthrow the Alabasta government? Just the world government's usual tactics. Rowan commented dismissively. Because of the World Economic News Agency's report, my defeat of Crocodile and repelling of Giant couldn't be covered up. Plus, with you joining us, Vivi, they simply decided to pin all the blame on us. However, this bounty. Rowan picked up his own new wanted poster. Isn't that around 113.5 million Bailey, similar to Vivi's? Shishishi. My bounty is higher than yours now, Rowan. Luffy grinned cheerfully, misreading the number again. You can make the same mistake twice, Luffy? That's 1,135 million Bailey. Rowan corrected with a smile. Luffy had misread his first bounty too. Hearing the corrected number, even Zoro and Sanji stopped fighting instantly. Everyone stared at Rowan, then yelled in unison. 1 billion? Chopper and Usopp hugged each other, screaming. 1 billion. Nami and Vivi gasped, staring blankly at Rowan. With a bounty like this, the next ones they send will be admirals. Rowan commented, a confident smile playing on his lips. Admirals. Hearing the word, even Robin felt a slight tremor. But seeing Rowan's calm, composed demeanor, Robin's own unease gradually subsided. Rowan looked at his wanted poster thoughtfully. Looks like the world government has completely locked onto me now. But everything was still within Rowan's plan. Soon, they would reach Skypiea. A place beyond the world government's reach. Once he obtained the Rumble fruit. Based on his projections of optimal devil fruit power. Even if Aokiji came at them with full force, not holding back, they could still escape. As for Blackbeard. Before reaching Skypiea, Rowan glanced at Luffy. Through their spiritual bond, Rowan's and Luffy's powers were linked. Though Rowan hadn't equipped the unawakened Gamu Gamu fruit trait, by transmitting spiritual power to Luffy via Conqueror's coding, Rowan had received some feedback from that strongest devil fruit. Namely, they might not encounter the dark fruit user at all. Nika and the dark fruit seemed like complete polar opposites. Nika granted limitless imagination, fighting with absolute freedom. The dark fruit stripped away all abilities, arguably even imagination and desire. Utterly opposed. Furthermore, both fruits possessed strong wills of their own, choosing their masters. And based on Nika's behavior, That will could subtly influence events. Despite being obtained by the world government, it was then stolen by Shanks, brought to Fuusha village, and eaten by Luffy. Now, Rowan sensed from the fruit swill that it, and the dark fruit, seemed to have some kind of unspoken agreement to avoid a direct clash until both their masters had fully matured. In the original story, Luffy and Blackbeard, though they met, never truly clashed due to various coincidences. Now, with Rowan as an unexpected factor, perhaps the two fruits wouldn't even allow their users to meet prematurely. Interesting. The secrets of this world keep getting more interesting. Rowan smiled. The next moment. Boom. Chapter 93, bonus, the Colossus is me. High above, the wreckage of numerous ships suddenly materialized from the sky, pulled by gravity, hurtling down towards the Going Merry. A ship falling from the sky? Chopper and Usopp shrieked, clinging to each other in terror. Nami and Vivi instinctively latched onto Rowan, seeking comfort and safety. You too. If you keep holding on to me like this, how am I supposed to do anything? Rowan chuckled, looking at Nami and Vivi clinging to him like octopuses. While enjoying their soft, trembling forms pressed against him was pleasant, Rowan certainly didn't want this wreckage crashing onto the Merry. Leave it to me, Zoro declared, a crimson-black light flickering in his eyes. Having fully awakened the steel-cutting realm and armament hockey, he was confident he could slice through this already dilapidated wreckage. There's some interesting information on that wreckage. If you cut it up, it'll all be destroyed. Rowan replied with a smile. Zoro's swordsmanship, unlike Mihawk's fusion of hardness and softness, was all about absolute power and destructive force. If Zoro intervened, any documents on board would be obliterated. And there was a map of Skypiea up there. Vivi, it's up to you. Your strength has increased so much now, yet you're still clinging to me like Nami does. Rowan teased, looking at Vivi with a fond smile. Blushing slightly at being called out, Vivi pouted. Her personality wasn't as naturally timid as Nami's. But having finally shed the immense burden of Alabasta, her 18-year-old, newly in love girlish side had emerged. Meaning she loved being close to Rowan and wouldn't miss an opportunity like this. Nami, hearing Rowan's comment, didn't let go either. Instead, she hugged him even tighter, wrinkling her nose cutely. When it came to helping Rowan, she would overcome her natural timidity. But in situations like this, she too would embrace her girlish side. Vivi looked up at the wreckage, rapidly approaching the Merry, then slowly extended a delicate hand. Sandstorm. A miniature sandstorm formed in Vivi's right hand. With a flick of her wrist, she unleashed her sand fruit power. A massive sandstorm instantly materialized over the sea, engulfing all the falling ship debris. Under Vivi's control, the sandstorm moved away from the Merry, swirling the wreckage around in the ocean nearby. Rowan, what now? The sea breeze will make the sandstorm stronger, and eventually, it'll go out of my control. Vivi called out, maintaining control of her devil fruit power, looking towards Rowan. The sand fruit turned its user into a sandstorm human. Conjuring sandstorms was the Logia fruit's natural disaster aspect. Theoretically, the sandstorm could continuously draw power from the ocean air currents, growing stronger. The drawback was, once it exceeded the user's control, it became uncontrollable. No problem. Rowan's observation hockey spread out. White blow. A tendril of smoke, infused with hockey, shot into the sandstorm Vivi created, precisely snatching a map from the debris. This is the only thing of value, Rowan stated, examining the map in his hand. As for the sandstorm, Zoro, cut it down, Rowan instructed. A rogue sandstorm at sea, gaining strength from the air currents, could cause trouble if Vivi lost control. This was also a good training opportunity for Zoro. Got it? Zoro grinned fiercely, watching the now uncontrolled sandstorm rapidly expanding as it drew in more air. Three-sword style, onigiri. Armament hockey instantly coated his three swords, an unknown, demonic power further empowering them. With a powerful leaping slash, Zoro tore through the sandstorm over the sea, causing it to explode outwards. A swordsman who could cut steel, once they heard the breath of the sandstorm, could follow that breath and utterly annihilate it. The ship wreckage, caught in the dissipating sandstorm, completely disintegrated, its remnants falling into the sea and slowly sinking. Rowan smiled, seeing Zoro's increased combat power. After awakening hockey, Zoro's Azure aura had also grown stronger. This special trait could even synergize somewhat with Conqueror's hockey, allowing Zoro to tap into a fraction of its power. No wonder Zoro managed to use infused Conquerors during the Onigashima War shortly after awakening it. It was due to this Azure aura. Rowan's eyes glinted. This special trait held more surprises than he initially thought. Checking its equipping progress, it was already over half complete. Soon, it would be fully loaded. However, Zoro's own current strength was still too low. he couldn't yet fully command the domineering power of Conqueror's Haki. He was only channeling a tiny fraction of it using his Azure aura. But even so, as the most dominant power on the seas, even a small portion significantly elevated Zoro's attack power. Zoro's all-out, desperate strike, fueled by consuming his stamina to channel that sliver of Conqueror's Haki via his Azure aura, was currently the highest potential single attack among the original Straw Hat monster trio. This map is? Nami asked curiously, looking at the chart in Rowan's hand. A map of an island in the sky. Skypia. Rowan replied with a smile. Skypia? Hearing the incredible name, Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper, the crew's adventure trio, instantly lit up, their eyes sparkling. You mean that ship fell from Skypia? Luffy asked, his eyes shining brightly. The legendary Sky Island. Does it really exist? Sanji, having heard tales of Skypia, still found it hard to believe. Skypia definitely exists. Rowan confirmed with a confident smile. Hearing Rowan say so, everyone immediately believed him. Rowan's words were never wrong. If he said it existed, it absolutely existed. Yosh! It's decided. We're going to Skypia. I smell a big adventure. Luffy yelled, eyes gleaming. Don't be silly. Our course is already set. The next island is an autumn island. Nami interjected, holding up the log pose on her wrist. Why is it pointing upwards? Nami gasped, staring at the log pose needle, which was now pointing straight towards the sky. It's locked onto an island with a stronger magnetic field, overriding the previous record. Just as Rowan said. Skypia really exists. Robin commented, looking up at the sky, her own eyes shining with curiosity. Alright. We can go to Skypia. Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp cheered, throwing their arms around each other's shoulders and jumping up and down on the deck. Even if Skypia exists, how do we get up there? It's in the sky. Rowan's ability allows him to fly, but he can't carry all of us that high. Nami pointed out, hands on her hips. Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp's faces instantly fell with disappointment. You three idiots. Are you trying to work Rowan to death? Nami, realizing the trio had subconsciously planned for Rowan to fly them up, instantly transformed into her sharp-toothed angry state and scolded them. Devil fruit powers consumed immense stamina. Even if Rowan was incredibly strong, his stamina wasn't infinite, he couldn't carry them all to a supposed sky island. These fools. Trying to exhaust her Rowan. Rowan, take us to Skypia. Luffy immediately rushed over, hugging Rowan's leg. It's our lifelong request. Usopp pleaded. Rowan, can we? Chopper looked up at Rowan with wide, hopeful eyes. Of course. Leave it to me. Rowan replied, picking up the adorable Chopper and ruffling his fur. Alright. Luffy and Usopp instantly cheered, hugging each other. Chopper's eyes curved into happy crescents. The trade equipping progress for all three advanced another step. But how exactly do we get there? Nami asked curiously, now that Rowan had agreed. She naturally wouldn't object. To reach Skypia, we need to ride a knock-up stream. Rowan explained simply. Knock-up stream? The crew looked even more curious. Nami, especially, her eyes sparkled, such unknown oceanic phenomena fascinated her. That's right. It's an incredibly powerful upward current that can shoot straight into the sky. By riding that stream, we can reach Skypia. Rowan chuckled. S.U.G. The sea is really amazing. Usopp exclaimed. But where do we find a knock-up stream? Sanji asked the crucial question. To find a knock-up stream, we first need to go to a certain island. Someone there knows how to find one. Rowan replied with a smile. S.U.G. Then let's hurry up and go. Luffy urged impatiently. But Rowan, if we go to that island, won't the log pose reset? Nami pointed to her wrist. Since Rowan decided to go to Skypia, as the navigator, Nami naturally had to ensure all preparations were thorough. Rowan, Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper looked pleadingly at Rowan again. Relax. We just need to leave that island before the log pose fully records its magnetism. Rowan reassured them with a smile. That island's name is Jaya. Rowan looked towards the course ahead. This Jaya Island was actually the remaining part of the landmass that had been shot up into the sky by a knock-up stream 400 years ago, becoming part of Skypia. The portion of Jaya in the sky, due to the scarcity of land on Skypia, was revered by the Skypians as God's land. This eventually led to a 400-year war between the original Jaya natives and the Skypians over land. Trait acquired, route, path to Jaya Island. Just like when finding Chopper, after bonding with the Straw Hat crew, the system could now display routes related to major plot-altering destinations. Rowan wouldn't even need to steal the log pose from the Saruyama lions this time. Speaking of which, That salvage monkey, Mazira, didn't even show up to salvage this falling wreckage? Rowan didn't bother using his hockey to search for him. They'd meet that interesting fellow soon enough anyway. Set sail. Under Rowan's command, following his directions, the Going Merry headed towards Jaya Island. Not far from the Going Merry's position, in another part of the sea, a ship with a monkey figurehead sailed onward. "Boss, why didn't we go salvage that wreck back there?" one of the crewmen asked the man who looked remarkably like an ape. This was the Mazira pirates' captain. A man who made his living salvaging shipwrecks, famous for boasting he could salvage a ship, sink it again, then salvage it once more. Salvage King Mazira. Idiot. Didn't you see the Jolly Roger on that ship? Mazira exclaimed, cold sweat beading on his forehead. That was the Straw Hat Pirates. Mazira's eyes were wide with terror. On that ship is the man who single-handedly orchestrated the extreme malice Alabasta incident. Defeated one of the 7 warlords. Even made the Navy suffer a defeat. The man with a bounty of 1,135,000,000 Bailey. The super great pirate. SKY Sovereign Rowan. Mazira's terrified roar sent shivers down the spines of his crew. 1.1 billion Bailey? That mass-murdering monster who nearly overthrew an entire kingdom. Mazira's crewmen burst into tears of fear. And that sandstorm that appeared out of nowhere earlier. That must have been the work of that super pirate. Think about it. A monster who can casually unleash natural disasters and kills without batting an eye. If we went salvaging near his ship, and he got slightly annoyed, we'd all be goners. Mazira still felt a lingering terror. Luckily, reports about Sky Sovereign Rowan were flying all over the seas nowadays. He had recognized the man. Otherwise, they would have died without even knowing why. Good thing you recognized him, boss. We didn't go over. We almost died. Rumor has it, he's a mass-murdering monster who killed 100,000 people. Nonsense. I heard it was 1,000,000. Whatever the case. We cheated death. The crewmen collapsed onto the deck, their legs weak with relief. That was the super great pirate who nearly overthrew a kingdom, a mass murderer. But boss. Their sailing direction. Just then, one crewman, belatedly realizing something, gasped in terror. It's Jaya Island. The crewman shrieked, drenched in horrified cold sweat. What? Mazira's forehead also broke out in countless beads of cold sweat, his eyes wide with terror. That super great pirate is heading to Jaya Island? Quick. Back to base. Tell the boss this news. Mazira immediately ordered his men, frantically sailing back towards Jaya Island in terror. Look. Is that Jaya Island? Nami asked, smiling as the island and the town upon it came into view. That's right. Mock Town, on Jaya Island. Rowan confirmed with a smile, looking at the town. What a nice-looking town. Luffy commented from his special seat, grinning. Doesn't it look like a resort town to you guys? Usopp added enthusiastically. Resort town. Hearing this, Chopper instantly got excited. Yeah, it really does. Makes you want to just relax and take it easy. Nami agreed, smiling. But if it has such a resort vibe, why is it called Mock Town? Vivi asked Rowan, sensing something was off. Speaking of which, is it just me, or are all those ships anchored in the harbor? Pirate ships. Usopp pointed towards the numerous pirate vessels. Because this place is a resort town for pirates to relax, spend lavishly, and let loose. Rowan explained, adopting his classic villain expression. Eek. Usopp and Chopper, the cowardly duo, instantly clung to each other, terrified. Nami and Vivi also grabbed onto Rowan. Seeing Vivi deliberately clinging to him, Rowan smiled fondly, then turned his gaze towards Mock Town. His observation hockey spread out. Rowan's lips curled upwards. As expected. No overwhelmingly strong presences. Blackbeard isn't here. But Rowan's target for coming here wasn't Blackbeard anyway. Alright. Let's go find a bar, sit down, and stock up on some supplies. Sanji, I'm leaving that to you. Rowan instructed. Leave it to me. Sanji grinned. Soon, the Going Merry docked at Mock Town's harbor. Bang. Crash. The moment they docked, they saw it. Mock Town was teeming with pirates. And they were prone to violence at the slightest disagreement, making the town incredibly chaotic. Hey, are we really going into this town? It's full of vicious pirates. Usopp and Chopper clung to each other again, terrified. Just then, all eyes in Mock Town turned towards the newly arrived Going Merry. Eek. Seeing so many pirates staring at them, Chopper and Usopp became even more frightened. But the next moment, it's the Straw Hat Pirates. Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy. The 300 million Bailey man. Idiot. Is Straw Hat the real scary one? That ship also has The man with a bounty of 1,135,000,000 Bailey. The mass-murdering super-great pirate. SKY Sovereign Rowan. Mocktown instantly erupted in an uproar. All the pirates stared fearfully at the Going Merry. Chopper and Usopp blinked. Then they remembered. The most terrifying pirate of all was right there on their own ship. Chapter 94, Terrifying Infamy. Settling accounts with the world government. Jaya Island, Mocktown. This place was a haven specifically for pirates to spend lavishly and indulge their desires. Many vicious pirates congregated here, freely spending their plundered wealth and unleashing their baser instincts. Consequently, clashes between pirate crews and violent incidents were frequent. Numerous pirates with bounties in the tens of millions, infamous figures in this stretch of sea, came here for recreation. Violence and desire were the town's defining characteristics. All pirates here reveled in their darker impulses, arrogance and aggression were rampant. But at this moment, all those pirates stared in terror at the group disembarking from the Going Merry. And no mistake. He looks exactly like the wanted poster. It can't be wrong. That man is really the one who orchestrated the Alabasta catastrophe. Nearly overthrew an entire kingdom. Killed one of the 7 warlords, Sir Crocodile. And defeated a Marine headquarters bigwig, an admiral candidate. The man of extreme viciousness and violence. Bounty, 1,135,000,000 Bailey. SKY Sovereign Rowan. Countless pirates in Mocktown stared fearfully as Rowan stepped off the ship. Some, more cowardly, were already blubbering, snot and tears streaming down their faces as they scrambled to flee Mocktown. Sky Sovereign Rowan. The most infamously terrifying super-great pirate on the seas right now. Rumor had it, this pirate was so vicious, so violent, he'd massacre people at the slightest provocation. This was the man who could kill a warlord. Defeat a high-ranking Marine admiral candidate. Against such a man, even the Navy would likely need to dispatch an admiral to attempt capture. He was on a completely different level than them. If such a vicious super pirate was in a bad mood and decided to go on a rampage here, they'd all be finished. As for enjoying Mocktown's pleasures, their lives were far more important. Set sail. Run for IT. Sky Sovereign Rowan has landed in Mocktown. Idiot. Why are your legs jelly? You wanna die? Lagging behind? Many pirates scrambled back to their ships. Some were so terrified their legs gave out, needing their crewmates to drag them aboard. In an instant, many of the pirate ships previously docked at Mocktown's harbor fled as if their lives depended on it. Rowan. SUG. Chopper and Usopp, witnessing Rowan's mere appearance send so many vicious pirates fleeing in terror, blinked, their eyes shining with awe as they looked at Rowan. Now that's a real super-great pirate aura. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji's eyes also gleamed. Such an aura, making countless pirates tremble and flee just by showing up, was incredibly aspirational. Rowan himself felt quite pleased. With such infamy and a bounty like this, no fool would dare mess with him on the open sea. And seeing those pirates scrambling away, tears and snot streaming from fear of his name, alongside the adoring gazes of Luffy and the others, Rowan felt a very satisfying surge of spiritual strength. His disposition increased slightly again. Rowan then led his crewmates into Mocktown. Usopp and Chopper puffed out their chests, walking proudly behind Rowan as they entered. Though many cowardly pirates had fled, some, bolder than others, remained. They wanted to witness the presence of this now most infamous pirate on the seas, curious about his purpose in Mocktown. Of course, being bold didn't mean being suicidal. They kept a safe distance, nervously watching the super pirate's every move, ready to bolt at the slightest hint of trouble. Some pirates also compared Rowan's crewmates to their wanted posters. Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy, 300 million Bailey bounty. Pirate Hunter Roronoa Zoro, 100 million Bailey bounty. All over 100 million. Participants in the Extreme Malice incident. Hearing their bounties being discussed, Luffy and Zoro grinned. And Sniper Usopp, 35 million Bailey bounty. To be the sniper on Sky Sovereign Rowan's crew. He must be amazing too. Hearing this, Usopp puffed his chest out even further, his grin stretching from ear to ear uncontrollably. Chopper looked on with immense envy. Chopper wanted a bounty too. Sensing Chopper's feelings, Rowan picked him up and placed him on his shoulder. Look. That Tanuki. It's on Sky Sovereign Rowan's shoulder. Is that Sky Sovereign's pet? A pirate exclaimed. I'm a reindeer, you bastard. Chopper's ears twitched, and he instantly flared up at the comment. Thump. The pirate who spoke immediately collapsed, paralyzed with fear, looking terrified at Chopper. Then, he fainted dead away. It wasn't Chopper's words that scared him. It was the realization that this reindeer was Sky Sovereign Rowan's pet. Being able to sit on that super pirate's shoulder meant it was highly favored. If the reindeer got angry and that, in turn, angered Sky Sovereign Rowan, his death would be unimaginably horrible. The thought alone made him pass out. A talking tanuki. Idiot. It's a reindeer. Lord Reindeer. You wanna die? Don't drag us down with you. Seeing the pirate he'd scared faint, and the others looking at him with terror, some even calling him Lord Reindeer. Chopper blinked. Even if you call me Lord Reindeer, it won't make me happy. You bastards. Chopper declared, though he was practically dancing with joy on Rowan's shoulder. He's delighted. The pirates instantly understood, and immediately started showering Chopper with fawning compliments, making Chopper grin from ear to ear. Human fruit equipping progress significantly increased. Rowan chuckled, watching the gleeful Chopper. And cat burglar Nami, 30 million Bailey. Strange. Where's Blackleg Sanji? I don't see him. Someone in the crowd murmured uncertainly. The quiet Sanji, with his awakened observation hockey, didn't miss it. Too bad that picture really did look like you, curly brows. Zoro snickered. Mosshead bastard. Sanji instantly ignited as if on fire. Diable jam. Sanji's right leg burst into flames as he spun. Armament. Zoro drew Wado Akamaji, infusing it with hockey. Boom. Sanji and Zoro immediately started fighting again. The terrifying force of their clash made the surrounding pirates' eyes bulge out. That must be Blackleg Sanji? Is that the power of Pirate Hunter and Blackleg from Sky Sovereign Rowan's crew? They're on a completely different level from us. The pirates watched in terror at the devastating battle. Diable jam, armament hockey, a swordsman's slashes. This power, for pirates who mostly operated in the waters around Mocktown, felt like it belonged to another dimension entirely. Go ahead and play. But after you're done, remember to go buy supplies. Rowan commented casually without turning around. Understood. Hearing Rowan, Sanji and Zoro instantly flinched, stopped fighting, stood at attention, and loudly acknowledged the order. They knew Rowan wouldn't usually interfere with their squabbles, as long as they completed their assigned tasks. Though Rowan hadn't explicitly stated this rule often, after being brutally trained by him, it had become an ingrained muscular reflex for both Sanji and Zoro. Scary. Sky Sovereign Rowan just said one sentence, and Blackleg and Pirate Hunter were instantly cowed. Just how strong is that man? How scary. This is what a legendary super great pirate is like. Seeing Zoro and Sanji's reaction, the crowd of pirates became even more terrified, instinctively backing even further away from Rowan's group. Hey, look at that woman. It's Princess of Malice Vivi, 110 million Bailey bounty. Together with Sky Sovereign Rowan, she tried to overthrow the Alabasta government. The former Princess of Alabasta. Some pirates recognized Vivi, cold sweat beading on their foreheads. Vivi showed no outward reaction, but her small fists clenched tightly. Princess of Malice. Though it was the world government slandering her and Rowan, hearing that title still stung Vivi, who loved her country, Alabasta, deeply. Rowan? Vivi felt a warm hand cover hers, and looked up to see Rowan's sun-like smile. Relax. I'll make them pay for this. Rowan said, looking at Vivi with a reassuring smile. You don't have to trouble yourself for them. They're just repeating what they read in the news. Vivi replied, touched, but not wanting Rowan's reputation to worsen further because of her. It was already because of her situation that Rowan was being labeled a mass-murdering, nation-overthrowing, vicious pirate. If his infamy grew because of her, Vivi would feel even more guilty. These are just small fry. When I help you get even, I'll definitely go after the source who burdened you with this name. Rowan declared, an astonishing crimson-black light flashing in his eyes. He then started walking towards a nearby tavern. Rowan had already found his target for this visit. Vivi blinked, confused. The source who burdened her with this name? Isn't that the world government? Vivi gasped, then quickly hurried after Rowan. Inside a tavern. What's all the noise outside? A man with yellow hair, sporting the Jolly Roger of Warlord Don Quixote da Flamengo on both arms and his chest, scowled. Bellamy the hyena, 55 million Bailey bounty. Are the guys I just beat still not satisfied? Bellamy snarled. He had just won a gamble against Roshio the executioner, 42 million Bailey bounty, and then promptly finished him off. Crash. Bellamy abruptly smashed through the window and leaped out of the tavern. Thud. He landed from several stories up, causing a group of onlookers to gasp. It's Bellamy. The 55 million Bailey pirate. Those exclamations of recognition always pleased Bellamy. Idiot. Get away from that fool. Don't get caught up in his mess. That idiot is about to die. What 55 million Bailey pirate? He's just a moron. Hearing the murmurs from the crowd, Bellamy, who had been preening with his head bowed, felt veins bulge on his forehead. Who the hell was just talking? Bellamy slowly raised his head. So, you're Bellamy. A calm chuckle came from nearby. Only then did Bellamy notice the group of people standing a short distance away. Huh? The moment he clearly saw the face of the man leading the group, Bellamy's forehead broke out in countless beads of cold sweat. B bounty 1,135,000,000 Bailey. Sky Sovereign Rowan? Bellamy's eyes filled with terror. The name Sky Sovereign Rowan. Who on these seas didn't know it by now? This was the man who killed Crocodile. A warlord, same as Bellamy's own idol, Don Quixote do Flamengo. The man who even defeated a marine bigwig, an admiral candidate. The most vicious, most terrifying super great pirate on these seas right now. 55 million? So it's you. Your bounty isn't high enough. You need to work harder. Luffy commented, looking at Bellamy with a grin. Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy, 300 million Bailey bounty, the man acknowledged by Sky Sovereign Rowan. Bellamy muttered, his eye twitching upon hearing Luffy's words, but he didn't dare retort. Hey, Luffy. Your bounty is that high mostly because of Rowan, okay? Nami interjected helplessly. This idiot better not cause trouble for Rowan because of his bounty obsession later. Be Bellamy. Just then, Bellamy's crew members rushed over. When they saw Bellamy was confronting the legendary Sky Sovereign Rowan, all of them stared fearfully at Rowan's group. As Sky Sovereign Rowan, sir. As someone of your stature. Surely wouldn't bother with small-timers like us, right? Sarquis, vice captain of the Bellamy Pirates, 38 million Bailey bounty, swallowed hard, his legs trembling as he addressed Rowan, struggling to get the words out. Bellamy's hyena pirates were infamous in Mock Town, a formidable crew no one dared to cross. For Sarquis to debase himself like this, calling themselves small-timers. The surrounding pirates, far from finding it odd, thought it perfectly natural, even considering Sarquis rather smart. Compared to Sky Sovereign Rowan. Forget 55 million Bailey pirates, even 100 million Bailey pirates were small fry. To survive an encounter with such a super powerhouse, not immediately kneeling and begging for mercy was already a display of courage. You talk. A bit too much. Rowan stated, a tyrannical crimson-black light flashing briefly in his eyes. Boom. Thump. Sarquis's eyes instantly rolled white, and he collapsed to the ground. The numerous pirates present stared, utterly stunned. Hey! Sarquis. The hyena pirates cried out fearfully, looking at the fallen Sarquis. No matter how much they shook him, Sarquis remained unresponsive. They then looked back at Rowan in terror. Sarquis, 38 million Bailey. Taken down by this man with just one word? This isn't far enough. Get further away. This is the super great pirate with a bounty over 1.1 billion. Don't get involved. You don't have enough lives to lose. Many pirates instantly fled at that moment. This man truly was as terrifying as the rumors claimed. To the extreme. Well then. The transponder snail that can contact Doflamingo. Hand it over. Rowan stated, looking at Bellamy with a cold smile. Rowan had no interest in wasting words on a small-time punk without dreams like Bellamy. Not everyone was qualified to converse with Rowan. He sought out Bellamy solely because Bellamy possessed a transponder snail capable of contacting Doflamingo. Aye. Bellamy wanted to resist, but seeing Sarquis taken down with just a word from this man, his body refused to move. Do you want to die? Rowan's smile vanished, his conqueror's hockey flaring intensely. Fear instantly overwhelmed Bellamy. He subconsciously pulled out a transponder snail. He realized too late he was betraying his most admired man, and tried to retract it. But, wham! Bellamy's eyes rolled white, and he collapsed heavily. A 55 million Bailey punk like him. Before Rowan's current conqueror's hockey. Was also just fodder. Rowan took the transponder snail. Alright. Time to settle some accounts. World government. Rowan declared, an astonishing crimson-black light flashing in his eyes. Chapter 95, Bonus, Warlord Meeting. Rowan calling. Atop the red line, the Holy Land, Mary Ejos. Today, a special meeting was convened. Summoned by the world government, presided over by Fleet Admiral Sengoku of Marine Headquarters. A joint conference between two of the sea's three great powers, Marine Headquarters and the 7 warlords of the sea. Both Marine Headquarters and the warlords were, nominally, under the world government's authority. Thus, the meeting could only be held at the world government's center of power, Mary Ejos. The agenda, discussing a replacement for the warlord vacancy left after Sky Sovereign Rowan killed Crocodile. And how to deal with this same Sky Sovereign Rowan, now deemed an extremely vicious pirate by the world government. As the warlords began to arrive, Mary Ejose's broadcast system announced their presence, a customary show of face for these great pirates whom the world government used to intimidate other pirates on the seas. Warlord of the Sea Bartholomew Kuma and Warlord of the Sea Don Quixote da Flamengo have arrived. Welcome, gentlemen. Accompanied by the announcement, a man with an arrogant, swaggering gait, clad in an ostentatious pink feathered coat, a signature evil smirk plastered on his face, entered Mary Ejose, one of the 7 warlords. Before becoming a government-sanctioned pirate, former bounty, 340 million Bailey. Heavenly Yaksha Don Quixote da Flamengo. The other, an immensely tall and imposing figure, dressed like a bear, wearing gloves and carrying a book in one hand, entered Mary Ejose with an impassive expression. One of the 7 warlords. Before becoming a government-sanctioned pirate, former bounty, 296 million Bailey. Tyrant Bartholomew Kuma. Gulp. Watching these 2 great pirates, tools of the world government used to intimidate others, and feeling the terrifying pressure they exuded, the marine soldiers stationed on either side for ceremonial duties swallowed hard. These were 2 of the 7 most infamous pirates on the seas, excluding the 4 emperors. The marines' eyes were filled with awe and apprehension. Why still 7, even after Crocodile's demise? Because now, the most infamously notorious pirate on the seas, apart from the emperors, was the very man who necessitated this meeting, Sky Sovereign Rowan. Killer of Warlord Crocodile, defeater of Admiral Candidate Dian, near overthrower of the Alabasta Kingdom, bounty 1,135 million Bailey. Thinking about the meeting's agenda, a heavy feeling settled upon the Marines. The flames of evil on the seas were burning brighter. After the 4 emperors, another terrifying great pirate like Rowan had now emerged. The Marines silently prayed this meeting would find a way to extinguish that evil flame, to deal with the man now called the most vicious pirate on the seas. Sky Sovereign Rowan. Foo. Since you've summoned us, get straight to the point. Lay out the business, and let's end this boring gathering quickly. Inside the conference room designated for the Joint Warlord Marine Headquarters meeting, Da Flamengo, the man whom the Marines outside hoped would help extinguish Rowan's evil fire, was currently perched insolently on the conference table like a common thug, his fingers twitching with amusement. Street, stop it. I can't control my body. With Da Flamengo's subtle finger movements, 2 Marine Headquarters Vice Admirals began fighting each other against their will, their faces contorted in alarm. Da Flamengo. This is your doing, isn't it? One of the Vice Admirals roared, glaring at Da Flamengo. On these seas, only this man could do such a thing. User of the Parimsha string fruit. Don Quixote da Flamengo. Stop it, Da Flamengo. The other Vice Admiral yelled, equally furious and horrified. Being manipulated like this in Mary Ejose was a profound humiliation. Foo. Then hurry up and explain things. Where's Sengoku? Da Flamengo cackled with his signature laugh. Most Marine Headquarters Vice Admirals stationed in Mary Ejose were primarily for show. Their strength couldn't compare to the veteran Vice Admirals who directly confronted Emperor Cruz in the New World. While they possessed hockey, unless they were hockey masters like Virgo, Da Flamengo's string fruit could easily overwhelm their defenses. Once their hockey was breached, they were mere puppets before his devil fruit powers. Though Da Flamengo toyed with the 2 Vice Admirals, his observation hockey remained keenly focused on Vice Admiral Tsuru, the great staff officer, who sat quietly to the side. This seemingly frail old woman had once chased him relentlessly. Her wash fruit was an incredibly troublesome Parimsha power, and a strong counter to his string fruit. However, seeing Tsuru show no intention of intervening, Da Flamengo's wicked grin widened, his actions becoming even more brazen. Clang. Under Da Flamengo's control, the 2 Vice Admirals drew their swords, about to engage in a deadly clash. Are you here for a meeting, or a brawl? Just as blood was about to be drawn, a calm but authoritative voice echoed through the room. Fleet Admiral Buddha Sengoku entered. As warlords, causing such a ruckus here. Have you no sense of decorum? A terrifying crimson-black light flashed in Sengoku's eyes. Foo. Quite the presence, Sengoku, Da Flamengo commented, cold sweat appearing on his brow, though his mocking laugh remained. Sengoku was far stronger than him, true, but as long as Da Flamengo was a warlord, Sengoku couldn't openly attack him. Nevertheless, Da Flamengo retracted his strings. With Sengoku present, continuing this charade would only lead to his own embarrassment. The 2 freed Vice Admirals shot Sengoku ashamed glances, then quickly took their seats. Only 2 of you came? Sengoku grunted, looking at Da Flamengo and Kuma. Forgot to greet you lot properly. You scum of the sea. Sengoku sneered, showing no courtesy towards the warlords. Foo. Sweet praise indeed, Sengoku. Doflamingo chuckled wickedly. Think whatever you like. But having 2 of the remaining 6 warlords show up already exceeds my expectations. Sengoku replied, taking his seat. In reality, Kuma, for various reasons, was usually the only one who consistently attended warlord meetings, being quite subservient to the government. These scum of the seas, despite their warlord titles and nominal allegiance to the world government, all had their own agendas. The world government, in turn, only cared about using their infamous reputations to intimidate other pirates and didn't much care about their actual loyalty. This state of affairs deeply displeased Sengoku. Fafafu, my businesses have been thriving lately. I only came here out of sheer boredom, looking for some amusement. Doflamingo smirked. Is that so? But when your pirate businesses thrive too much, it gives us Marines a headache. Sengoku retorted. Enough with the pointless chatter. Aren't we here to discuss Sky Sovereign Rowan? I was beginning to think I'd walked into the wrong meeting. A detached voice interjected. Mihawk, yours strapped to his back, slowly entered the room. The one least likely to show up actually came. Are you interested in that brat too, Hawkeyes? Doflamingo looked at Mihawk with genuine surprise. Brat? Doflamingo. Be careful. That brat is capable of killing you. Mihawk commented coolly after taking a seat, glancing dismissively at Doflamingo. Mihawk wasn't surprised Rowan killed Crocodile. After their hockey clash, Mihawk sensed that man's potential might even surpass Shanks's in terms of hockey. A mere crocodile wouldn't be a stumbling block on that man's path. Fa-fa-fa-foo. I remember now. You had contact with that brat too. But kill me? Do you take me for a weakling like Crocodile, content to muck about in paradise, the first half of the Grand Line? Doflamingo's wicked smile remained, but veins bulged on his forehead. If he weren't outmatched by Mihawk, he would have already attacked. Though the seas were currently buzzing with exaggerated tales about that brat, Doflamingo, as one of the kings of the underworld, backed by Emperor Kaido, and possessing connections within the world government due to his former celestial dragon status. He didn't put Rowan in the same league as himself. Crocodile being killed by him meant little. Crocodile was trash who relied on external objects to achieve his ambitions. As for supposedly defeating Pink Rabbit, he'd heard they clashed, but Giant was only suppressed, not truly defeated. Rowan's strength, while not weak, wasn't enough to kill him. That so-called 1.1 billion bounty was just the world government scapegoating the brat for Crocodile's attempt to overthrow Alabasta. Well then, why don't you go kill Sky Sovereign Rowan, Doflamingo? If you succeed, the government will surely reward you handsomely. Sengoku suggested, glancing at Doflamingo. Fa-fa-fa-foo. My businesses keep me very busy. Besides, hunting pirates. Isn't that your job, Marines? Doflamingo retorted, directly refusing. He wasn't afraid of the brat, certainly, but he didn't want unnecessary trouble. That brat was causing massive headaches for the world government, the long stagnant seas were beginning to boil because of him. The era of upheaval was approaching. Doflamingo's operations, arms dealing, smuggling, thrived in chaos. His backer, Emperor Kaido, constantly aimed to incite a massive war. The more chaotic the situation, the better for him. Though it irked him that this brat's fame now surpassed his own, from a purely pragmatic standpoint, letting the brat continue rampaging was more beneficial. Humphrey. Sengoku snorted coldly. He hadn't expected these sea trash to accept the task anyway. Pirates were pirates. Even becoming warlords nominally loyal to the world government didn't change their fundamental nature. Allow me to audit this meeting as well, esteemed sirs. A smooth, light voice suddenly interjected. Perched on the windowsill of the conference room, Lafitte, navigator of the Blackbeard pirates, chuckled softly. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" One of the vice admirals roared. "You. Are you Lafitte? The infamous sheriff from West Blue, exiled for excessive violence?" Another vice admiral recognized him. "That's ancient history now. I am here to recommend a certain fine gentleman for the position of warlord of the sea. Teach is our captain's name," Lafitte announced with a polite, chilling smile. "Teach? Never heard of him," Sengoku stated dismissively, not immediately ejecting Lafitte. To reach this room, Lafitte wasn't incompetent. A captain acknowledged by such a man likely wasn't small fry either. Sengoku was curious what bargaining chip this Teach could offer. "Regarding that, our captain has already made detailed plans. Our captain's target is that man whose fame currently resounds across the seas. The head of Sky Sovereign Rowan," Lafitte revealed with a calm, almost pleasant smile. "What?" Sengoku's eyes narrowed instantly. Fa-fa-fa-foo. "Isn't this interesting, Fleet Admiral Sengoku? Let him try." Doflamingo, delighted at the prospect of someone targeting the brat who annoyed him, burst into laughter. The more chaos on the seas, the better for him. Unleashing an era of upheaval was his current goal. Burrow. 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 Just then, the transponder snail in Doflamingo's coat pocket began to ring. Doflamingo frowned. What's going on? We should have jammed all transponder snail signals in this area. A vice admiral exclaimed, looking incredulously at the snail Doflamingo produced. As a meeting site for Marine headquarters and warlords, security measures were naturally in place. Special horn transponder snails should have been jamming all external communications. This number is Bellamy's. Doflamingo muttered, his lips turning downwards. He knew the signals here were supposed to be blocked. Bellamy was just an insignificant pirate under his command. Recruited on a whim. But Bellamy somehow had the means to bypass the signal jamming here and call him directly. To bypass the signal jamming here is no easy feat. Why don't you answer it? Let us also hear what matter is so urgent, Saru suggested, her hands clasped before her, a wise glint in her eyes. Humphrey. If you're all curious, fine. It's just an insignificant subordinate of mine anyway. Doflamingo grumbled, looking down at the snail, then answered. If Bellamy managed to bypass the jamming, it reflected somewhat well on Doflamingo. As for Bellamy revealing any secrets during the call, Doflamingo wasn't worried. Bellamy was small fry, knowing nothing of his true operations. Doflamingo was also somewhat curious, what means did Bellamy use to bypass the jamming, and what was so urgent that he'd risk it? Click. The call connected. Humphrey. The transponder snail's projected face mimicked the caller, revealing an incredibly powerful, confident smile. Connecting to that snail took some effort. The Holy Land, Mary Ejos. Warlord meeting, correct? A calm, amused voice drifted from the snail. Who are you? Doflamingo roared, veins bulging on his forehead, his lips pulled down in a snarl. That voice was not Bellamy. What? Sengoku and Saru both stared intently at Doflamingo. The caller wasn't his subordinate. And somehow, they knew the situation here. Transponder snails could only transmit audio, they couldn't see the environment of the receiving snail. Even the highest grade snails used by the Five Elders had this limitation. Me? I am Rowan. The name sent a collective shockwave through everyone present. Their pupils constricted. Sky Sovereign Rowan? Chapter 96, 96, Unconscious Celestial Dragons. Conqueror's hockey roars through the Holy Land. Hearing the name, everyone present reacted instantly. The Marine headquarters vice admirals participating in the meeting stared at the transponder snail in horror. This entire meeting had been convened because of this very man. The vicious pirate who killed Warlord Crocodile and attempted to overthrow the Alabasta Kingdom had brazenly called into their high-level conference. Sengoku and Tsuru's expressions turned grim. They hadn't anticipated this man could bypass their signal jamming. They were using top-of-the-line horn transponder snails for security. Such technical prowess was rare even within the world government. The only one who could easily achieve this was likely Vegapunk, the chief scientist. This man's capabilities were even more astonishing than they initially estimated. Mihawk allowed a faint smile to touch his lips. That voice. It had been some time. Even more commanding than before. Sky Sovereign Rowan. Mihawk's hawk-like gaze fixed on the transponder snail. Lafitte, who had been observing, tensed. Sky Sovereign Rowan. The head their captain intended to take to secure a warlord position. He hadn't expected Rowan to directly call into this very meeting. Looks like that waste of space Bellamy has been eliminated. Doflamingo sneered, veins bulging on his forehead. He had just been boasting about the brat not being a threat. And now, Rowan had apparently dealt with Bellamy and called him using Bellamy's own transponder snail. Bellamy, though useless, was still his subordinate. To be humiliated like this, in front of everyone. Doflamingo seethed with rage. Knowing this is a warlord meeting, knowing this is the Holy Land Mary Ejos, and still daring to call. You have guts, Sky Sovereign Rowan. Sengoku stated gravely. As the world government's current #1 thorn in the side, for this man to so brazenly intrude upon a top-level meeting convened because of him. Fleet Admiral Sengoku, is it? And Hawkeyes too. Been a while. Rowan's voice chuckled, completely ignoring Doflamingo. Is that Hawkeyes there too? A fierce, beast-like voice, Zoro's, came through. Roranoa? Mihawk responded, a hint of a smile in his voice upon hearing the familiar challenge. And me. I'm the man who's gonna be king of the pirates. Monkey D. Luffy. A loud, boisterous shout, Luffy's, echoed through the conference room. Absolute silence fell. The faces of the attending vice admirals turned incredibly grim. Declaring his intention to become Pirate King. In the Holy Land Mary Ejos. What audacity. Straw hat. Just a pirate whose bounty only reached 300 million because of Sky Sovereign Rowan. Sengoku and Tsuru exchanged exasperated glances. Garp's damn family. All of them are infuriating troublemakers. Sengoku's face twitched. Garp's son, Monkey D. Dragon, became leader of the Revolutionary Army, the world government's most wanted criminal. Garp's grandson, Monkey D. Luffy, became a pirate, even gaining the acknowledgement of the troublesome Sky Sovereign Rowan. And now, he was shouting his ambition to be Pirate King in Mary Ejos. Fa-fa-fa-foo. King of the Pirates? What a bunch of clueless brats. Seeing Rowan completely ignore him, Doflamingo's forehead throbbed with bulging veins, his evil grin turning savage. Flamingo. You don't get a say here. Your pirate bounty isn't high enough. The voice from the transponder snail drawled, making Doflamingo's expression freeze. Flamingo? Was he mocking his attire? He loved his flamboyant pink feathered coat, but no one had ever dared ridicule him for it like this. And his bounty wasn't high enough? Arrogant brat. You. Doflamingo was about to erupt, but the next words from the transponder snail made his blood run cold. By the way, this whole 7 warlord system. I find it rather disagreeable. Hey, Sengoku, why don't you just abolish it? Rowan's casual chuckle left everyone in the room stunned. Finding the warlord system disagreeable. So he wants the world government to abolish the 7 warlords? A mere pirate. You're overstepping your bounds, quite significantly. Sengoku's expression turned dark. The 7 warlords are ultimately just a tiresome political tool of the world government. And some filthy pirates use that title to engage in all sorts of shady dealings. For example, crocodile. And then there's this Doflamingo, involved in dirty underworld business. If you don't want to abolish the warlord system, then I'll just have to administer some justice myself and dismantle this corrupt institution completely. The words from the transponder snail made the atmosphere in the conference room explode. Bang. Don't be ridiculous. A pirate has no right to speak of justice. A Marine Headquarters Vice Admiral slammed his fist on the table and leaped to his feet, roaring at the transponder snail. A vicious pirate, preaching justice in a Mary Ejos conference room. What insolence! What utter contempt! Fa-fa-fa-foo. Bold words, Sky Sovereign Rowan. And how do you plan to dismantle this system? Doflamingo was thoroughly enraged now. This brat knew quite a lot, even about some of his dealings. But Doflamingo stared at the transponder snail with a mocking sneer. Such arrogance clearly stemmed from ignorance of how the world truly worked. Dismantle the 7 warlords? Who does this brat think he is? An emperor? Even his backer, Emperor Kaido, couldn't achieve such a feat. The warlord system was established by the world government itself, with considerable effort. Without the world government's consent, the system could not be dismantled. How? Simple. Just ensure the 7 warlords no longer have 7 seats, right? Don Quixote Doflamingo. Your head is mine. Rowan's powerful voice declared. Fa-fa-fa-foo. Interesting. I'd like to see how you plan to kill me. Clueless brat. Since you got this number from Bellamy, you must be in Mocktown, correct? Doflamingo's expression was now incredibly dark, a terrifying killing intent flashing in his eyes. He had initially planned to let this brat stir up more chaos, benefiting his own interests. But now, being so insulted and belittled. As a warlord, as one of the underworld's kings, Doflamingo was filled with murderous rage. Mocktown? Lafitte's expression changed. No wonder the captain couldn't find this man in Alabasta. He was in Mocktown. Oh? Interesting. You're coming for me? Then I'll wait for you here for one day. The string fruit's power is rather intriguing. Deliver that devil fruit power to me. Rowan replied with a mocking sneer. You have your eyes on my string ability? We'll see if you have the life to take it. Doflamingo was thoroughly enraged now, glaring savagely at the transponder snail. The fact that this brat could hunt devil fruit powers was now common knowledge across the seas. Thanks to the world government's propaganda. But for this brat to regard his string ability as already his possession, to say he was delivering it to him. Ignorant fool. By the way, Sengoku. There's something I need you to do. Rowan's voice from Mocktown suddenly shifted, ignoring Doflamingo, a tyrannical crimson-black light flashing in his eyes as he looked at the transponder snail in his hand. Rowan was seated on some steps. Surrounded by Vivi, Nami, Robin, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, and Chopper. The transponder snail in Rowan's hand now had its eyes rolled back strangely. In reality, the special trait within the snail that enabled communication had already been plundered by Rowan. He was merely using the snail's number to directly connect to the snail in Doflamingo's possession. Transponder snails were living creatures, communicating via a form of telepathic link over vast distances. Rowan, having plundered its communication trait, was now directly using his own spiritual power. Infinitely stronger than the snails. To utilize this trait, the signal jamming by mere horn transponder snails was easily bypassed by Rowan. And now, for an even more interesting application of this power, Rowan's eyes flashed with an astonishing crimson-black light. Because he was directly using the communication rate to link with a snail in Mary E. Jo's. Rowan could directly unleash his hockey through that spiritual connection. You can slander me all you want, but that title. Princess of Malice. Change IT. Change IT to Desert Princess. Understood, Navy? Rowan's demand made Vivi, standing beside him, cover her mouth in shock. Don't be absurd. Since when do you have the authority to change titles? The Navy doesn't take orders from you. Sengoku's eyes narrowed sharply. Is that so? Well then. The tyrannical crimson black light in Rowan's eyes flared violently. The next moment, he unleashed it through the established spiritual link. Boom. Terrifying crimson black lightning instantly materialized within the Marine headquarters and Warlord joint conference room in Mary E. Jo's. An apocalyptic aura roared through the atmosphere. The next moment, under the horrified gazes of Sengoku and the others, the hockey storm erupted outwards from the conference room, spreading throughout the entire Holy Land, Mary E. Jo's. Boom. Thump. 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 Many Marine soldiers guarding Mary E. Jo's, caught in the terrifying pressure, instantly went white-eyed and collapsed unconscious. And at the heart of Mary E. Jo's resided numerous slaves. And the celestial dragons. Thump. 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 Struck by the wave of Conqueror's hockey, some celestial dragons directly passed out, collapsing heavily. Moreover, this terrifying hockey was already strong enough to cause tangible physical damage. Many buildings in Mary E. Jo's began to tremble and crack under the force of the hockey storm. WHO. WHO is unleashing Conqueror's hockey? An enraged roar echoed. The current commander-in-chief of the God's Knights. The powerful force composed entirely of celestial dragons under the world government. Figureland Garling Saint, burst out. That's the Marine headquarters Warlord conference room? What in the world is that fool Sengoku doing? Garling Saint roared, his face grim as he saw the unconscious celestial dragons and slaves. Having the audacity to unleash Conqueror's hockey in the Holy Land Mary E. Jo's. And at this intensity, Garling Saint's expression darkened further. It's already at the level capable of infusion. Whoever possesses hockey this strong is among the top powerhouses on the sea. And this hockey isn't Sengoku's. Are the warlords causing trouble? But among the warlords, only one should possess hockey of this caliber. Hawkeye's Dracul Mihawk. That man wouldn't act recklessly. What the hell is going on? Garling Saint strode purposefully towards the conference room. Pangea Castle. Bastard. WHO is wantonly unleashing Conqueror's hockey? The five elders, gathered to discuss the warlord meeting, erupted in fury. Saint Topman Warkuri, his forehead birthmark pulsing, roared. This isn't Sengoku's hockey. Hockey of this intensity. Among the warlords, only Hawkeyes possesses it. The blonde Saint Shepherd Jupiter stated gravely. What does Hawkeyes think he's doing? Saint Ethenbrun Venus Jiro slammed his sword hilt on the ground. It might not be Hawkeyes. That man isn't reckless. The long-bearded Saint Marcus Mars mused. Go. Ask Sengoku. What exactly is happening? Who is unleashing Conqueror's hockey so brazenly? Saint Jaga Ursha Saturn thundered towards the door, his face contorted with age. Yes, sirs. Outside the door, a Marine headquarters vice admiral, one of the few still conscious, responded loudly, his forehead drenched in cold sweat. He stared in terror at the continuously roaring hockey. Under its pressure, even his legs felt weak. What a terrifying hockey. And the next moment, whether it was Garling Saint rushing towards the conference room, or the five elders, their expressions all changed dramatically. Conference room. Conqueror's hockey? Da Flamingo. Cut the transponder snail signal. Sengoku roared, staring in horror at the snail continuously emitting Conqueror's hockey. At the same time, utter disbelief flashed in his eyes. Able to unleash Conqueror's hockey through a transponder snail? And hockey of this intensity? It's already at the level of infusion. Thinking of a certain possibility, Sengoku's pupils constricted. He can't cut the signal. Da Flamingo, no longer able to even hold the transponder snail, had leaped several meters back, staring at it in horror. This Conqueror's hockey. It's that brat's? What astonishing power. Cold sweat dripped down Da Flamingo's forehead. I completely misjudged that brat's strength. What a powerful hockey. Even Mihawk looked genuinely surprised. He had clashed hockey with Rowan in the East Blue. Rowan's hockey was strong then, yes, But compared to now, it was like heaven and earth. Hockey of this caliber placed him among the true powerhouses of the sea. Mihawk had thought Rowan might surpass Shanks in hockey in the future. But this rate of progress was beyond his imagination. Can't cut the signal? Veins bulged on Sengoku's forehead. This method really is similar to Vegapunk's. Stop it. SKY Sovereign Rowan. Are you insane? This is Mary Ejo's. Do you know what IT means to unleash Conqueror's hockey here? Sengoku roared. Oh? I'd like to know what it means. So, are you changing the title or not? Rowan's powerful laughter echoed back. Bastard. The crimson black light in Sengoku's own eyes flashed violently. Stop, Sengoku. Are you planning to have a Conqueror's hockey clash here? Tsuru quickly intervened, seeing Sengoku about to unleash his own hockey. With Sengoku's power, if he clashed with Rowan here, things would escalate beyond control. Damn it. If we don't exhaust his hockey, how do we stop this guy? Sengoku raged, utterly frustrated. A Conqueror's hockey clash, you say? Since you want it so badly, I'll oblige. Rowan's voice came through, laced with chilling, predatory amusement. The next moment, what happened made everyone present freeze, their faces contorting in utter disbelief and horror. VMM. Boom. Chapter 97, Bonus, Clash of Kings. Confronting the Five Elders. Atop the red line. The Holy Land, Mary Ejo's. This was the seat of the world's highest authority, the central nexus of global power. It was also the residence of the celestial dragons, self-proclaimed descendants of the world's creators. But now, here, countless arcs of crimson black lightning roared violently through the atmosphere. With each ferocious surge of this tyrannical energy, the very buildings and vegetation of the Holy Land trembled and threatened to collapse. Many of the self-proclaimed gods, the celestial dragons, had already fainted. The marine soldiers and world government agents guarding the area lay scattered, a field of unconscious bodies. Luffy. Zoro. Rowan called out in Mocktown, the crimson black light in his eyes blazing with insane intensity. Got it. Zoro and Luffy replied, fierce, powerful smiles on their faces as they placed their hands on Rowan's shoulders. Rowan, through the strongest trait system, had established a spiritual power link channel with Luffy, Zoro, and the others. Through this channel, Rowan could directly transmit spiritual power to them using his Conqueror's coding. Similarly, this spiritual power link channel was two-way. Rowan also equipped traits from Luffy and the others through this same conduit. And likewise, as pure spiritual power, Luffy and Zoro's Conqueror's hockey could also be transmitted in reverse into Rowan's own body. Of course, since this Conqueror's hockey belonged to Luffy and Zoro, Rowan couldn't fully control it to perform infused attacks. But Rowan didn't need to use it for infused attacks. He just needed to take Luffy and Zoro's Conqueror's hockey, and using the communication rate plundered from the transponder snail, directly transmit it to the Holy Land, Mary Ejo's. Just like Joy Boy's Conqueror's hockey in the Egghead incident. Stored across time and unleashed. No need to wield it. Just unleash it. Enjoy this. Marines. World government. These two are. The hockey of the man WHO will become king of the pirates, Monkey D. Luffy. And the hockey of the man WHO will become the world's greatest swordsman, Roronoa Zoro. Rowan's powerful, mocking laughter thundered from the transponder snail in Mary Ejo's, causing the expressions of Sengoku and the others to change dramatically. The next moment. Release. Rowan's calm voice commanded. VMM. Boom. Two immense waves of Conqueror's hockey erupted violently from the transponder snail as their core. Luffy's and Zoro's Conqueror's hockey, transmitted through Rowan's spiritual channel, now roared uncontrollably throughout the Holy Land, Mary Ejo's. Though Luffy and Zoro's hockey was newly awakened, far weaker than Rowan's own, which was already capable of infusion, Conqueror's hockey was still the most domineering power in the world. Even without direct attack capability, upon awakening, it was a pale gold tier trait. Furthermore, with Rowan's own Conqueror's hockey already present, Luffy's and Zoro's hockey collided violently with Rowan's in the atmosphere above Mary Ejo's. This collision amplified the power of Luffy and Zoro's hockey exponentially. A clash between two kings, even if their hockey couldn't be infused, could create an incredibly terrifying spectacle. Hailed as a clash of kings. And now, it was the Conqueror's hockey of three kings, colliding violently in the skies above the Holy Land. Plus, Rowan's own powerful hockey, already capable of infusion. Three distinct hockey auras, colliding, interweaving, unleashing the combined energy of Rowan, Luffy, and Zoro's Conqueror's hockey with multiplied force. The terrifying power generated by this three-way hockey clash was now no less than that of a peak emperor wantonly unleashing their own conqueror's haki. And because it was a clash of three distinct haki signatures, the resulting power was infinitely more violent and chaotic than a single individual's release. VMM. Boom. Countless crimson black lightning arcs danced and roared madly in the skies above Mary Ejos. The terrifying shockwaves made even the clouds high above recoil and disperse. From afar, it looked as if an invisible giant hand had torn a massive rift across the very sky. Even the weather itself began to shift erratically in response to this terrifying display of supreme power. The hallmark of kings wielding conquerors' haki. VMM. Thump. 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 In an instant, many of the Marine headquarters officers guarding Mary Ejos, who had managed to remain conscious through the initial blast, now had their eyes roll wide as they collapsed. Within the residential areas of Mary Ejos, home of the Celestial Dragons. Aside from the powerful members of the God's Knights, the other Celestial Dragons looked on in utter terror before their eyes too rolled back, and they all fainted. The Marine headquarters Vice Admiral who had left Pangaea Castle earlier, intending to investigate the conference room, caught in this explosive haki clash, stared in horror, cold sweat drenching his forehead as he was forced to his knees, unable to move freely under the immense pressure. Bastard! Garling Saint, current Commander-in-Chief of the God's Knights, who was rushing towards the conference room, stopped dead, his face contorting in fury as he witnessed the three distinct conquerors' haki auras raging and clashing in the atmosphere. Three distinct conquerors' haki signatures. Three individuals wantonly unleashing their haki in the Holy Land Mary Ejos, and deliberately causing them to clash, unleashing the most violent and destructive aspect of conquerors' haki. The terrifying power generated by this three-way clash. Even Garling Saint felt a palpable pressure. He could only imagine how few people remained conscious within Mary Ejos at this moment. This was absolutely not normal. Garling Saint's expression turned grim. Even if the warlords were causing trouble, it was unthinkable for three of them to unleash haki recklessly here. And this was clearly a deliberate act to create a haki conflict, to unleash its most destructive potential. Someone was targeting the Holy Land, Mary Ejos. Insolence. Garling Saint roared, then sped towards the conference room. Pangaea Castle. Bastards. A haki clash. Three conquerors haki. Saint Topman Warkery, his birthmark pulsing, roared, horrifying crimson black light flashing in his own eyes. This is an attack on the Holy Land Mary Ejos. Saint Ethanburin Venus Giro slammed his famed sword onto the ground, murderous intent gleaming in his eyes. Under haki of this intensity, the messenger we sent likely never reached the conference hall. The blonde Saint Shepherd Jupiter stated, his expression incredibly dark. Few in Mary Ejos could remain conscious under such an onslaught. Even the Vice Admiral they dispatched would be immobilized. I shall go myself. See what exactly is happening. Saint Jaga Ursha Saturn declared, slowly rising, a strange black light glinting in his eyes. Then, Saturn, one of the five elders, headed towards the conference room. Inside the conference room. Thump. Thump. The two Marine headquarters Vice Admirals who had been manipulated by Doflamingo earlier finally succumbed, their eyes rolling wide as they fainted. Their strength was already inferior to the frontline Vice Admirals. Being this close to the epicenter of the three-way haki clash was too much for them. Crash. 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 All the windows in the conference room shattered instantly under the terrifying haki pressure. Glass shards, carried by the violent spiritual shockwaves, sprayed outwards into the skies above Mary Ejos. Lafitte, too, wore an expression of extreme pain. Though further from the transponder snail than the two Vice Admirals, not directly in the path of its haki release, he didn't faint immediately. But he was forced to one knee, cold sweat pouring down his face, his expression one of utter agony. Just remaining conscious was his limit, his mind was a complete blank. Thness. Even Doflamingo was drenched in cold sweat now. Under this terrifying haki clash, he felt a suffocating pressure. This haki collision was too frightening. What shocked Doflamingo even more was the implication. That pirate crew had three Conqueror's haki users. What kind of sick joke was this? Conqueror's haki wasn't some common cabbage. Even in the New World, among Emperor crews, few besides the Emperor themselves has it. His own backer, Emperor Kaido of the Beast's Pirates. Aside from Kaido himself, only his son Yamato, who Kaido kept locked up, possessed it. Yet Sky Sovereign Rowan's crew, aside from Rowan himself, had two others with Conqueror's haki. And they had only just entered the Grand Line. Conqueror's haki. Possessed by only one in millions, and even then, not all who possessed it could awaken it. For a crew to have three users, so early in their journey. And one of them, Sky Sovereign Rowan, was a monster. Yes. Monster. In Doflamingo's eyes now, Rowan was an absolute monster. So young. yet possessing Conqueror's hockey that made even him tremble. And capable of transmitting all 3 hockey signatures to Mary Ejo's through bizarre means. If that wasn't a monster, what was? At this moment, Doflamingo completely abandoned any thought of going to Mock Town. If he went, he'd truly just be delivering his devil fruit ability to that monster. Roranoa. Mihawk's gaze sharpened further. Roranoa actually possessed Conqueror's hockey, and had already awakened it. Mihawk recalled Rowan's words in the East Blue.